Zypitano. Welcome to the AYN Sounds podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
The second episode of the AYN Sounds podcast was Zypitano. Recently went 4 times platinum.
Thank you.
Rags to riches.
Thank
Raw
you,
wave,
thank
Lil
you.
Baby. How does that feel?
How does it feel? I have no idea.
You have no idea.
It's just one of those things that just puts you in shock and you're just like, okay, what?
I see.
Right? Because once again, the biggest thing for me is the song blew up and I didn't get to experience it blowing up in front of my face. Right? The small town I grew up in the UAE, nobody really listens to rap music there. So no one really knew about the song. And the friend group I was around, everyone listens to pop music or like Indian music. So it was like I was there in the small bubble and I'd have videos and pictures of people in North America, Florida, Europe, listening to the song. There's people driving in their cars, blasting the songs. I saw a couple people, I saw like a video of someone in Florida putting like a big boombox speaker on top of their car.
Oh, wow.
And they're just blasting the song on the highway.
Yo.
I was like, yo, this is insane.
No, for sure.
There's people doing barbecues, listening to the music, they're singing it out. It's like, yo, this is amazing.
No, for sure.
So I feel like, cool, the accomplishment is cool, but I feel like I wish I could have been geographically positioned in North America to experience a bit of it, right?
I see.
Because now it's like, yeah, I have the thing, but people are always like, yo, that's such a big song. You know, I used to listen to the song in the pandemic. And so I don't know. I'm grateful,
Yeah.
but it's just like, I wish I could have experienced it firsthand, you know?
That's true. I've heard like stories of producers saying like, oh, I just getting gas from my car. They go to the gas station, they see they hear somebody listen to the song they produce and stuff like that. And how like just firsthand witnessing it is a different
It's
experience.
such a different experience.
But I'll say this much though. Like the whole story of somebody on the highway like bumping that and like really resonating it with like to the song like that, it must say something different about the song that people are so connected to something that you produce,
Yeah.
like a work of art that you produce, that they're like fully like, expressed like that's their soundtrack to that moment is
Exactly.
the song you produce. So it must be a special feeling having produced a song that many people resonate with. And even the song content, right? The whole rags to riches like
Yeah.
of a
It's like
story.
come up.
Like I think everybody, especially you could relate to that, right?
Yeah, very relatable.
Coming to a point of rags to like a point of riches,
Exactly.
a point of, lesser, and now you're
To a higher level.
yeah,
100%.
for sure.
So that's the other thing, right? Because I couldn't experience it firsthand in person. What I would do is I would go to the YouTube video and look at the comments. And the comments are filled with like a lot of these 30, 40, 50-year-old people on YouTube. And they're all posting like, oh, Rod Wave, you changed my life with this song. This is a song I used to listen to when I was like on the brink of being homeless, when I was broke. And then this motivated me to get my money up. And now I'm feeding my kids and I have a roof underneath for them and this and that. And there's like a whole bunch of comments like that, very like wholesome stuff, you know? And in a way, it's like tough to really understand that a song can have an impact like that on someone. Maybe not directly, but it plays a big part for them in their life at a specific point, you know?
I see.
So that kind of like opens up your eyes.
No, for sure.
That's also specifically because the song is very much like, like I said, it's about the come up. He's talking about, going from struggling to not struggling. And I guess it's very relatable. I think that's part of the reason why the song blew up as well.
No, for sure. That's I think most songs. It has to have some type of content that people can feel like it's speaking in their place, and that's
Yeah.
why they're listening to it. But you said it had an impact on a lot of people, right? The song
Yeah.
had an impact, especially based off its message. But how about for you personally? Like, how did the song and it going platinum, all its success, how did it impact you, your producer career, your life in general? Like, what was the impact of that record happening in your life?
I think for the first 2 years, I didn't understand the impact. For me, it was just like, oh yeah, I produced a song. It's doing well. Like, there was no face value to it, kind of, Like I said, because I was middle of nowhere, small town in Asia, in the desert. It's like people aren't really listening to that type of music. So, I don't know, for some reason, I didn't really feel much. Like I knew I'd produced the song and I'm seeing it do well. But yeah, I was still in school. It was during the pandemic. School started going online, and I had to focus on school, and I was struggling. I was terrible at school, so I'm trying to do that, and then I don't know. It didn't have much of a positive impact till like 2 years later when I finished school, and I was almost finishing school, and I was applying for university. So my initial goal was to try to apply to America, But the thing is, the tuition in America is too expensive.
Yeah, yeah,
If you're an international student,
yeah. From abroad, you're probably paying what, like,
it was 60K USD per year
yeah,
for a 4-year degree. So that's 240K, I believe.
yeah,
And that's only tuition.
yeah,
Cost of living,
yeah.
travel expenses, everything. That's like,
Yeah,
you're going to be,
forget about that.
yeah, you're going to be knee deep about $500,000 by the time you finish and get a degree.
Yeah, rags to riches, but not that many riches.
Not
Like
that many. Not
60K
that
just
many.
for the tuition is a,
Per
yeah,
year.
yeah,
Crazy.
yeah,
60K USD.
yeah,
That's a lot of money.
yeah,
So my managers at the time, they were like, you should consider coming to Canada. Because they were both Canada. They were both Canadian, I mean. And they
yeah,
were both from Toronto.
yeah.
So they spoke to my dad and they're like, you know what? Check for options in Toronto and see if we can apply here. So I was like, okay, not bad. I was looking at the tuition and I applied and I got into the university right across the road.
I see.
It's called it's called OCAD. It's a design school
I
basically.
see. Yeah,
And tuition there not as expensive. It's about 27 to 30K CAD per year.
yeah. So like probably closer to like 20 to 25 USD per year.
Yeah.
It's like a third. Yeah, it's like
It's a third.
major
Still
difference.
expensive.
Yeah,
If you're an international student, you're kind of getting robbed in the name of education.
yeah. Still some riches, but not
Not
yeah,
that much.
Yeah,
So I was like, you know what? I want to be geographically present in North America. And the reason why my dad got convinced to let me go abroad is because I had rags to riches. And the song was doing good numbers. And obviously, in a way, numbers are just like they are proof, but they aren't like, it wasn't enough for my parents to believe that I could pursue music full time. So I had to wait for a couple of the checks from the songs to come in. And then my parents were like, okay, fine, you know what? We know you can do it.
Yeah.
Like they weren't like, they were supportive, but they weren't trusting.
I see.
Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
They were pretty cautious about it.
They were cautious. They were being,
understandably so.
exactly. They were being parents. They were just like, we're not going to send this kid halfway across the world because he produced some random song,
Yeah.
right? There has to be like proof. There has to be like substantial evidence that something can come off of it further than just the song. So when the checks started coming in and my parents saw that you can make decent money off of music, they're like, you know what? You can afford your tuition, so we'll let you go. So that was the main reason I was able to move and come to North America, and I think that was like the changing factor of my life. Because since I was young, I was staying in India, then I moved when I was 8 or 9 to the UAE, grew up there for 13 years. So that was my life. Living in Asia was just my life. Moving to North America, I never planned it. So I think if rack switches had never come out, that would have never enabled me to do that. And whole loophole basically goes, if that song never came out, we would never be here right now.
True say.
Right?
True say. That's how the cards play out sometimes. That's how destiny happens. Is like
That's true.
one song, one melody loop can totally change the course of like a
Absolutely
lot of
can.
things.
Absolutely can.
But you're saying, right? You said you grew up in, what was it, UAE?
Yep.
And then you moved to. How did that all happen? How did you say you moved to? You were in Dubai and then you moved to the UAE. Is that what it is?
No. So what it was is I was moving in and around India,
Oh, I see.
like different
India.
parts of India, for the first 8 years of my life.
Yes.
And then I believe when I was 8 or 7.5 or 9, I think I moved to the UAE because my dad had just moved there for a new job from India. So we moved with him, and I was just staying in like a small town 6 hours away from Dubai. It's called Ruwais. It's like bottom end of the UAE.
I see.
It's pretty close to the Saudi Arabia border.
I see. So what's a kid in Ruiz doing making hip hop music or beats or anything like that? Because you're saying that song enabled you to get to America, which the advantages of being in America, or North America, I should say,
Yeah,
is being connected to people who make that type of music.
exactly.
But what were you doing making that type of music out in that type of place? Because obviously you're probably insinuating that there's not a lot of people, or there's not a big music scene in the hip hop sense, at least out there.
Yeah, I have no idea. I honestly have no idea how it happened because I used to love pop music. I used to love white girl pop music. I loved it so much. Like on repeat, Ed Sheeran Shape of You came out, blasting it like 10 times in my room.
Yeah, who wasn't, eh?
Who wasn't, bro?
Yeah.
Who wasn't? Like, that's a
hit.
big song.
Yeah,
My
that's
parents knew the lyrics to the song. I was like, yo.
Okay, yeah. When like foreign people know lyrics to certain songs, that's how
Then it's like,
it's transcending culture and language. Yeah, that's yeah.
yeah, so that's what I was listening to. And then I don't know what it was. I think It was I listened to XXX Tentacion Look at Me, and I was like, what is this music?
I see.
What is this? Like
Yeah.
it was like screamo rap, so unconventional. So like now that I look back on it, it's a fire song, but it's still like slightly unpleasant, because it's so like aggressive,
This is true. It's very in your face. It's
very
very
in your face.
like
It's not a
yeah.
bad thing.
Yeah.
But for me at the time, I was like, this is insane. What is this? And then I went into this whole loophole of listening to like trending rap songs at the time. The song that changed it all for me, Take A the Race.
Wow.
I listened to Take A the Race. It's a picture of him holding the cash, like bent down in a blue
Yeah.
shirt. I was like, yo, this is insane. Listening to that Zay 808, I think it was, that pattern and the flute.
Yeah.
Doo-doo-doo.
Yeah.
I was like, yo, this is so catchy. And then something about that song, I then went and watched the music video. The next thing I know, 2-3 days in, I'm watching conspiracy theories of how Take is beating the race in the song. And then I'm watching videos of why he's getting locked up. What is his trial saying? And I'm so invested. I don't even know this guy. I'm like, this is insane.
Yeah.
And from there, it just my YouTube. I was listening to music on YouTube. So everything that was recommended to me since then was just like rap music. Then obviously, this is around 2016, 2017. And then somewhere in between, I crossed the lines of YouTube and SoundCloud. Listen to Lil Pump, Smoke Perp, some old Uzi, famous Dex, Rich the Kid. I was listening to all this and I was like, whoa, like this is rap. Rap is fire. Something about rap is just like it's more energetic than okay, you can't say more energetic than pop. It's just I don't know. I think the hi hats just kind of spoke to me.
For sure. Rap music has a different type of like color to it. It's very
Exactly.
like very colorful is the word I'd use. Like it has its, it's
Yeah,
yeah, it has a certain flavor. The character of rap music is definitely different to a lot of different stuff.
I
And
agree.
especially with the music you're listening to, like the little pumps and even the Uzis. Like it's like Uzi's music, for
Yeah,
example.
true.
Ad libs and all that stuff and what he does with his voice is very like out there.
It's just like yo, wow,
Yeah,
like
it catches your attention for sure.
And then something because I was listening to all these rap songs and then it was this guy Aries. Do you know Aries?
Aries,
The guy on
he's like a
YouTube.
YouTube producer, yeah.
So back in 2018, 2017, he used to post 2-minute videos of how hit rap songs were made.
Yeah.
He would remake the beat on his Akai Da.
I remember the 21 Savage one. It
Oh,
must have been or something like that.
bank
Like the
account.
rocks or your bank account.
Bank
It was.
account, Rockstar,
Yeah.
Look at Me, Take A the Race.
Yeah.
Um,
He ran up views on that too, eh? Sheesh,
I
that
saw that
check.
video once after school. I was eating lunch with my mom
Uh-huh.
on my iPad, and I was like, okay, I want to do this.
Ah, I see.
I watched one video, then I watched 2, 3, 4, 5. Watched his entire YouTube video. So watching it again and again, I was like, oh my god, like
This is what I wanted.
this is what I want to do.
You want to be the one making the stuff behind the
No,
song.
I didn't. I was just
You
like, I
didn't?
want to make beats. I
Oh,
just
you
want
just
to.
want to make beats.
This is so fun. That
I
this
see.
looks so cool. Like like building
Yeah.
up something from scratch. I didn't know that was possible. For some reason, I was so young at the time. I didn't understand that there's people making beats behind the artist.
I see.
I thought it was just the artist makes the entire song.
That's true. That is very true.
So that was like, what the heck?
Yeah.
I understood what producing was, and then I wanted to get a DAW. So the first thing I did was I searched up DAW. First thing that shows up, FL Studio free trial.
I see.
Download.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do what Aries does. I downloaded FL Studio. I pulled back Aries' video. It's on the same DAW.
Oh, wow.
I can't copy his tutorials. I can't remake these hit songs that I like. So I did the next best thing. I searched up. What was the Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre song? The piano one with a very famous piano.
Think it's called Still, yeah.
Still.
Yeah.
Yep. So I was like, how do we make that on FL Studio? Copied an entire tutorial. And then I was like, this is insane.
Yeah.
I just made this song,
Yeah.
like I can remake a famous song.
Yeah.
And then after that, I just took 1 year just messing around. And then when I got more into like Lil Pump, Smoke Perp stuff in 2018, that's when I was like, okay, their music is so far. I want to make beats like this. That combined with finding internet money tutorials, oh my god,
I see. Kind of just say you're on your path, basically.
that's it. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna lie. Everything I learned off of Internet Money tutorials, bro.
Yeah.
Nick Mira, GOAT.
Yeah. I think that's the thing with YouTube tutorials and even the remaking the beat videos, right?
Yeah.
Because I think something that's priceless for us as creators, but anybody, right, is getting something demonstrated to you to even understand that
Exactly.
you're capable of doing it. And I think you said earlier, you said you were so young that you didn't know that they made beats. But I think at any age, right, people have misconceptions about how things are made and if
Yeah.
it's even possible to make something or to accomplish a certain thing, right?
True.
And seeing the tutorials, at least for me, and I know for you, as you're saying, right, you're seeing the process, you're seeing the person actually lay down the hi-hats. And
Yeah.
then you're relating the whole process to like the finished product that you really like yourself.
That's true.
And you kind of like, oh, now I can visualize myself doing what he just did because I've
Exactly.
seen him do it. And I
Exactly.
know that he's basically human just like me. I could do the same thing. I just follow this tutorial,
Yep.
put my own spin onto it.
It's
And then
true.
that's me as a producer, you know? And then obviously that evolves into different stuff. But
Exactly.
that is amazing how like a lot of producers, especially the ones getting big records nowadays,
Yeah.
and you'd be part of that class,
Yeah.
literally are like students of the YouTube tutorial.
Students of Internet
university.
Money, I'd say.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie. The entire new wave of producers,
yeah,
if you started off in 2018, 2019,
yeah.
like find me one person who didn't watch a Internet Money tutorial,
This is very true.
because those tutorials, life changing.
This is very true.
I won't even lie. It's so good that in 2022 I used to go back and watch my old tutorials,
Yeah,
and I just be like, yeah, this is what I learned.
100%.
Because all my basics of doing drums, melodies, arrangement, everything came off of just the Internet Money tutorials.
100%.
So helpful. And the thing was, I used to search up and watch so many tutorials. There was nobody whose tutorials was hitting like the AYN tutorial,
Very true.
right? Like there's a lot of people. There was this like a whole bunch of people.
Yeah.
I didn't like it. I couldn't like stand watching the tutorials.
Yeah, and there was a whole bunch of other collectives as well, like teams of people that were basically like internet money, like kind of clones in a way, right?
Yeah.
In terms of the structure of it, having multiple people,
True.
a YouTube channel, all making the
Yeah.
banner at the bottom and everything.
That's true.
But it just wasn't the same.
It wasn't the same.
Yeah.
I know we've had our. We used to run a collective too. You remember?
No, yeah. It never took off.
Never
we
took
were
off.
part of, one of the collectives that just tried to. Yeah, internet money is different.
Yeah.
I think it's a very special thing that, as you're saying, a lot of people
Yeah.
that have platinum records now, some of them even diamond, can
Yeah.
say I've learned off of internet money tutorials. But even further than that, somebody like you, 4 times platinum, or is that it? 4 times platinum. That's how many like platinum certifications you've got? Yes.
I have 6.
6. See, I'm losing count.
It's okay.
It's 4 or 6. What's the difference?
It's the same.
It's the same. It's just a lot,
Tomato.
Yeah, tomato. 4 or 6.
Same thing.
Only 2 million streams difference or
Yeah,
2 million
exactly.
units difference. But somebody with 6 times platinum can say, I watched the Aries video and that's where it started for me. Like, what does that say about Aries, Or what does it say about the internet money tutorials? Like, that's really something special that a lot of people that have accomplished big things, you look down the pipeline and that's where it started for them. Like, that was an invaluable resource for a lot of
I
people in the community back then.
What's crazy was literally 2 days ago, I was
Yo.
thinking, what if they never posted those videos?
That's true.
Like I never took it in, but those videos are such a big part of my life, subconsciously, Like I feel like it's so easy to overlook the fact that a piece of media that you put out to the world can change someone's life. It's kind of crazy.
100%.
The power is insane.
And a lot of people have those ideas, have even crazier ideas.
That's true.
Ideas that could impact people, influence them, inspire them in so many different ways. But for some reason, it's sitting on a hard drive somewhere, or it's sitting in a notepad. It's only as a script, not even as a recording, not even as a video, and then not even as a posted video.
That's true.
Like, yeah, it is something to come up with an idea, execute on it, and then also share it with the world, because you never know how it could hit and who it could inspire, what the difference you can make is. And yeah, it's something special when somebody does do it and actually sacrifices time and effort to put into it, to actually do it, and then you see the fruits of the labor, like especially like in the internet money case.
True.
Like there was a time before they were good at making tutorials and all that stuff where they had to build themselves up to that point.
True.
And they had to build the courage to post it and all that type of, there's a lot of work that went into doing it.
Yeah.
But I'd say, and as you're saying, that I'm very grateful that they did that, and very grateful for tons of creators out there.
I agree.
Because without them, then it's a lot of pieces of us that just don't exist
I
or would
agree.
have never, have been birthed.
I think like the entire class of like all the people we know, however far we've come across, is kind of like we owe it all to them.
100%.
Like they gave us they gave us the blueprint,
100%.
right?
Yeah.
They gave us the blueprint,
They
and then
laid
we
it
just
out
built a
for
different
us.
building over it.
100%.
That's
Yeah.
how I would say it, because it's like it's insane. Because the amount of resources you had at that time, insane. And look at it now, you have even more resources.
That's the craziest part. Yeah.
Like now the game has gotten to a point where back then people were still trying to gatekeep.
This is very true.
Remember, right? They're like in the community we knew some people were so insanely talented at what they do, but
You
they
had
didn't
no
want to give
idea.
they didn't want to give up the sauce.
Yeah. You had no idea how they make it. It was a very mysterious, like, aura around them.
I know.
Like, especially for me, it was Q Beats. I think you
Oh,
could say the same.
same.
It's like, oh, it's this mysterious twin brothers from Germany that make these crazy samples, and they have hits, super platinum. All the top,
Exactly.
producers use their samples, but you don't even know how to make anything that sounds like it. All the tutorials were like basically shells or shadows of what the actual Q Beat
That's true.
sound is like.
That's true. Because the thing is, Qbeats had every sample maker producer in a chokehold in 2019.
Yep. But not even that, the whole world. If you look at it, the charts,
No, whole world, like, yes, whole world in a more
yeah,
generic music,
yeah,
like, ruling kind of way.
yeah,
But for producers, like, I know our conversations almost every day with everyone we knew. It's just like, how the hell are they doing this?
this is very true.
Right?
Yo,
And I think everyone was trying to recreate the Qbeats type samples. Because I remember the thing that was popping at the time was free Qbeats loopbacks.
oh gosh.
I know it because I was a part of it.
Yep. And you got them views off it too,
That's
man.
true.
There's the keywords right there that you just go crazy in 2019 with
I know.
those. Yeah.
I know. And then I was trying to find a lot of tutorials who can remake the best Qbeats / Frank Duke samples.
Yep. Yep.
This was chokehold in the producer industry, community, I'd say, not industry.
Yeah.
And then came along Kyle Stemberger,
This is true.
pivotal point of, like, tiny pivotal point of my career. Seeing that guy's tutorials, he was the closest to Qbeats.
This is very true. Kalstenberg got some really fire stuff. It sounded like, yeah.
He came out of nowhere, and then that pairing that he had with KBZ that helped him promote himself a little bit more, insane. Because I remember it was Kyle was breaking down how to make samples, and then KBZ was posting videos at the same time, making like a drum tutorial on Kyle's loops. And I saw this, and I was like, "Yo, who's this guy? Who's this guy?" And then a lot of people knew about Philharmonic through the VST, but then Kyle Stemberger was the one who was like, "This is what Qbeats uses." I don't know if they did use it or not, but that was like the closest thing.
Yeah. Something that would sound like what they
Yeah.
would like probably record with instrumentalists and stuff
Exactly.
like that. Yeah.
That's when I learned everything about, like fake sampling your own samples, slicing it up, chopping it up, post processing, warping, changing the pitch, and like exporting, bringing it back in. So that was like, I think that helped me a lot in a specific point,
100%. That's interesting to think about, right? That was 5 years ago, as we're saying, right?
Yeah.
And then now, you go online, you could literally, it's written out for you. Like even the Qbeats type stuff, it's written out for you. If you
Yeah.
look specifically enough, you'll find it. But there is also a lot of producers who just don't seem to be making anything happening with having more information, which
I
is
agree.
almost a weird one. It's like, it's still only a certain amount of producers that get those records and get to that
Mm.
next level. Because there's being a producer, being good,
Hmm.
and then also being good and being successful. Those are like three different things.
I
That third
agree.
category, not every producer gets there. I think it's relatively the same amount of people, let's say, every year get certain cuts, right?
I'd say so.
Why do you think that is, with access to more information? Or access to, more information, more specific information to make really good stuff? Is it the fact that everybody has access to the same information? What do you think is the
I think
The
a part of it is slightly people, I don't know if this is completely true or not, but I guess people are slightly afraid to experiment more,
I see.
right? Because the game is so saturated now. So kind of it's like being creative is tougher. Whether it be the music, whether it be the networking, whether it be whatever else you do beyond the music, is just tougher, because coming up with an idea that somebody else hasn't thought of before is way more tough compared to when we were doing it. For us, it was like, if we tried to do something slightly weird in terms of networking or the sample or music, it's like, yo, we got a new formula, right?
100%. Yeah.
So that's one thing you can't really like. I feel like I know there's people trying, there's people doing their stuff, but it's just the game is too saturated right now. There's
I
too many
see.
sample makers.
I
Not in
see.
a bad way. There's people making great samples. Like kudos to them, like keep doing your stuff. The only thing is getting into the industry and what the industry is now for producers, very like the lines are kind of blurry,
I see.
right?
So would you say there's more supply of sample makers than there is demand by far? Is that what you're saying by saturated?
Kind of, yes.
I would agree with that, to be fair. I feel like people, a lot of people, producers will say, yeah, my email that I put for loops is like just full of stuff. And they don't even like most of the stuff that's in there. So it's
Yeah.
like, obviously, but I mean, if you have that certain level, obviously, and you're a sample maker, you're still going to stand out in terms of the music. But you were talking about just now, people have to experiment and being creative. But you also mentioned being creative with networking.
Mm.
That's one thing when I was doing my research on how you got the song with Rod Wave was your networking strategy behind that. And then you said in that Genius Breakdown interview that how you got connected with Day 6, which is the co-producer on that record, is that you sent him an offer, or you sent him a message on Instagram with the offer of doing free artwork for his loop kit or any type of, I forget which kit, but I'm going to assume a loop kit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, coming out. You said, oh, I'll do the free artwork for your kit. All I want is a tag and a credit if you
Yeah.
want so. And you said that that would provide way more value than somebody
100%.
being like, let me send you samples.
100%.
And then that was the thing that enabled you to get in contact with him and then eventually got you to get that record. And
Yeah.
I would say that's a definite example of creativity when it comes, or experimentation when it comes to networking, the
That's true.
networking side of it. And I think also to answer the other question we were talking about, how somebody could get to that next level, because it's access to all the information, right? So if everybody can make fire stuff, how are you going to separate yourself?
That's
I
true.
think you're the prime example of that with networking, right?
Yeah.
Because you took a very unconventional route with the networking, and you did something that nobody else. You gave him an offer that nobody else is giving,
That's true.
which, as you said in your own words, instantly made you stand out.
Yeah.
I remember even he said something along the lines of when he saw the message, he was like, it was hard for him to say no.
Yeah, it's kind of like an
Yeah.
refusable offer.
Yeah, he literally said that. He said, "What do I have to lose?" in the interview.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, he has nothing to lose. It's a great offer.
That's
and
true.
it gets you the, like,
Yeah.
And I think that's, if you look at sales, networking, all that stuff, that's how it goes. And a lot of people don't understand that, right?
Yeah.
You see them hop in the DMs with, yo, what's your email for this? Or, yo, can I send you stuff? Or like, yo, I like your stuff. Let me send stuff. But that's not a value proposition.
It's not.
That's just a cheap compliment in exchange for the opportunity to work with them. They have more leverage. They have more opportunities than you.
Yeah.
All you have is loops, and everybody has loops. So why would they work with you, right?
Yeah. What do you have to offer that's gonna make you stand out?
Exactly.
What is the thing that you have that's gonna be like, okay, I gotta check this guy's stuff out. I gotta check this guy's message out.
100%. And in your case, it was the free artwork.
It was the free artwork because
you found that lane.
Yep.
Yo.
And it worked because at that time it worked. But even now, like there's people who do the same thing, but they're like, yo, this method doesn't work. I'm like, yeah. It's kind of been patched up, man.
Yeah.
Because now if you look at it, people have access to so many resources that it's very common for a producer to also know basics of design. Or what if you don't know design? You know how to visually represent yourself in whatever medium that helps you and put it together with your music.
In the last 5 years, it's the AI, literally.
The AI.
You literally
AI
just type in something with a
You
good
get
enough
what you want.
description. They don't need that anymore, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's that value that you could offer being someone else to a musician is kind of like, it's tougher now.
100%.
Right? You either got to go completely out of your way, give them something that's about 10, 15 times worth the value of a sample for them to like actually like notice you, or you just got to have such crazy music and you need to have like the opportunity for them to come across your music and them to listen to it and be like, yeah, this guy is insane. We got to work with this guy.
I see. I think the third option would be also building yourself up as a personal brand.
That's true.
Curating your image, especially on a platform like Instagram where most producers connect.
Yeah.
If somebody comes across a message that you send that's a little cold, right? Let's just say it's, I want to work with you. But at least they see, oh, this person has some really good music, also has a really good image. They probably would be more likely.
I agree.
And you probably have more leverage in just not really giving too much of a value proposition outside of, let's just exchange and work together. Which for some people works as well.
Yeah, it does.
How have you been able to build up your personal brand or curate your image on top of building the personal brand over the last few years?
I think for me, the main thing was for people to remember, like late 2018, 2019, the way I got my first group of following and my community was uh, free loop kits on YouTube, because that was a new thing. Samples and loops being open to public and any producer was a new thing. Like people were starting to catch on that Q Beats, Frank Dukes, a lot of these people who compose are sending music to big musicians to get records. But it wasn't known that a normal person could get samples off of YouTube, let's say, and use stuff. Right? The closest thing was Looperman.
This is true.
Looperman was the thing everyone was using, free royalty-free samples.
Yeah.
So I was like, I saw one or two other people posting free loop kits on YouTube, and all you had to do was you subscribe, and you get the download link.
Yep.
And in my head, more than giving people free loops, for me, the initial thought was, I want to get more subscribers. So I kept dropping free loop kits, and the free loop kits kind of brought a lot of people to my channel. And then people who got the kits and they liked it, they eventually reached back to me. And they're like, yo, man, I love your loops. I love your samples. And then, I got some of that collection of the support from YouTube over to Instagram, all of that. And then that combined with giving people artwork, that was kind of like my image back in the day. Now I've kind of like, personally, because I'm currently in university, I'm studying design professionally, I've just like kind of in a way, I don't have like as much time as I did before to give people free artwork out, as much as I'd love to. It's just I haven't had the time to sit down and like reach out to the people I want to reach out to and be like, yo, I'll give you free artwork again. Obviously the chances of that working are much lesser now, but for me right now, my image has morely been showing more of my face and showing more of the people I'm working around with. It's just kind of like trying to, in my own way, trying to make people feel like they're included in the process of what's going on with me.
I see. Yeah. I think that's the essence of a personal brand nowadays.
Yeah.
Is showing off who you are and taking your audience on for like the journey of Zypitano.
Exactly.
Like, what does he do day to day? What is
Yeah.
going on in his life? What is he looking forward to?
That's true.
And that's how you can, build anticipation to a certain release.
I agree.
Or that's how you can let people know what's going on in your life and stay updated, because that's kind of the relationship people have nowadays, is almost a parasocial relationship to where you're following somebody, but
Yep.
through the device.
Yep.
And I guess in our position, the best thing we can do is leverage our personal image, what we do,
Exactly.
into like building that personal brand and giving them that story to follow. It's pretty much the same thing as a documentary per se, but it's more shorter stuff and a lot of repetition and a lot of day, like the
Yep.
Instagram stories, for example, and stuff
Yep.
like that.
Yep.
But people overlook that. People don't post a lot.
They don't.
But back to what you were saying, it makes me think, right, that even back then you were thinking about building an audience and getting that brand up with the followers and the subscribers. And your thought was to give something free away in exchange for the subscriber, and not trying to look to profit off of a loop kit.
No,
Because there was a lot of paid loop kits. That's actually, I think, how it started, was people would make samples and
Yep.
charge for them. But your thinking was, let me give it out for free
Yeah.
in exchange for the following, and then leverage that following into maybe connections and placements or whatever you wanted to leverage it
True.
into. And that's also the same thing with the free artwork, is you understood that you were at a certain point to where you didn't have the leverage
I
to
did.
charge for things, or you didn't have the leverage
I
to
don't have the
message.
credibility more so.
Yeah, the credibility you didn't have. If you did it, it probably wouldn't work.
It
And
wouldn't.
you said something about the chances in an interview. The chances of getting a response would have been low.
Yeah.
If you did it a conventional way, because you didn't have the credibility, the leverage,
Exactly.
or whatever it was. Why do you think you were able to think in such a smart way back then? Because if you look at sales and marketing and all it is the value proposition, the way you look at it is the correct way to look at it. When you don't have certain leverage, you have to offer something that's going to make up for that fact. Or you don't have the credibility, you have to offer something that's going to make up for the fact. And you giving something away for free, like the artwork or the loop kits,
Yeah.
was your way of doing that.
Exactly.
Why do you think you were instinctually, like intuitively able to do that back then in 2019? Because you're 21, right? So you must have been 16, 17.
16.
And without realizing it, you were thinking in this very like smart business way and doing things in a very like methodical way, naturally. And it actually panned out. You built the brand. You got the connection. Got 6 platinum certifications off of the back of all that specific mindset, you know?
True.
So why do you think you were able to think in that way? Why do you think you have that mindset?
I think for me, partly it was because I'm Indian, and Indians are pretty frugal.
I see.
I think not just Indians. I'd say like immigrants. You probably relate, right?
This is very true. This is very true.
Like,
There's a certain part of the world that has
yeah,
a lot more resourcefulness innately, and
exactly.
they're more so taught to
Make
deal with
use of what you do.
yeah, exactly. Make use of what you have
Yeah, that's it.
instead of striving to, you know,
Get more
yeah,
from
yeah, yeah. But it's like you're getting more out of what you have, basically.
That's
It's
true.
also getting more, but getting more out of what you have as well. It's like parallel. It's not
Exactly.
one without the other. It's like both. But I get what you mean. Yeah.
So that I think part of it was just my upbringing and me being like, in an immigrant household, just growing up around values that made me realize that money's not easy to spare, It's not like
Yeah.
everyone can afford a loop kit as well. Because I couldn't afford a loop kit. I couldn't afford a loop kit in the sense that I may have had the money, but my parents didn't let me have like an online banking or maybe like a PayPal or something to purchase it.
I see.
They told me, no, you're not going to do this. You're going to focus on school. So I was like, damn, I want something, but I can't get it. Which is why I never spend any money on any of my music.
I see.
So what I did was I understood that there are people like me, right? So what I would do is, you know what? Let me just put stuff out for free. Because I know, who doesn't love anything free?
No, yeah,
Let's
for
be real,
sure.
right?
For sure. Yeah.
Like, yo, sure, a lot of free stuff isn't good, but when it's free and it's like decent,
Yeah.
amazing.
For sure. Why not? It's like,
Why not?
as Day6 said, what do I have to lose?
You have nothing to lose,
Exactly.
right? Same thing with the artwork. It was just, I think for the artwork, it was between the timeline of me posting free loop kits and me actually doing free artwork. There was this one interview. I don't know if it was Murder Beats or Scott Storch or some like producer or some music person who was speaking very vividly, and he was explaining that the music is 20% and the business and the networking is 80%. And if you don't have the credibility or the name for yourself, then just work for free.
This is very true.
And a lot of people were like, no, you should never work for free, like value your work. Sure, I valued my work, but I'm like, that's an issue for tomorrow,
For sure.
Like I was just like, you know what, I just want to get my name out there, work with people. And third thing was, I just wanted subscribers, bro.
Yeah, that's true. It's nice seeing that number next.
The number going up, amazing. Because I think you remember this, right? When we were posting type beats,
Yeah,
my channel was not blowing up.
I do remember there was a time. It was like pretty. It's hard. It was hard to
It was hard.
get onto the type beat algorithm. It still is.
It's still very tough.
I wouldn't say it's hard, but it's improbable. If you're a type beat channel, not if you have 100 type beat channels, only a select few actually are getting views.
Good luck to you.
Yeah, and
But-
yeah.
But I think you remember this, right? Because we were all running YouTube type beat channels.
Yeah, to a certain extent, yeah.
Yeah, and yours was doing pretty decent.
Yeah.
Mine was doing terrible. Terrible, where I was like, everyone around me was getting a lot of subs. And I know it wasn't the music, it was just like there was no way to market yourself at that time where you know what you were doing and you were able to leverage what you have to get more of a following. So because of that, I was like, you know what? Let me just give people these loops for free. I made like 60 of them. I can give them 10 for free. All they have to do is subscribe. And then I did that. I went from 300 to 1,200 subscribers.
Yeah. And then now you have an audience that if you did drop something for charge, some of them would buy it. Or if you did have a certain, let's say you just wanted to post a beat and you had more of an audience to like at least leverage or do stuff.
That's
true. It's not just 3 views. Now it's more than that.
Exactly.
And now it's more connections, especially as you said with the loop kit.
Yep.
That's another very underrated way of getting placements and connections.
Yep.
I know personally in my career, and as you said earlier, is people will use the loop kit. It'll get on somebody important's computer. They'll use it. They'll be like, yo, this is hard. They'll see your name in the file name.
And then one reach out to you.
You get the follow from this producer who has this connection. That turns,
Yeah.
And that also brings me to a thought I've just had. I was in the car with my mom. And this is when I got tall enough to where I just have to sit in the front seat. So my mom was in the back. My dad was driving to the left of me. And I was telling him about this thing. And I was like, yeah, I'm so happy because I got it for free. I forget what it was.
Yeah.
It must have been some small thing that might have cost $10. But I'm like, yeah, I was just so happy that I got it for free. I was just telling my parents. And then kind of back to the immigrant mindset as well, because they're immigrant parents as well. And my mom was like, Daniel, you know, they say free, but nothing in this life is for free.
Yeah.
And I was just like, in my back of my head, I was like, man, my
Let me
parents
enjoy,
always
you know?
hate. Yeah, just let me enjoy. Like, why they always hate? Why they? I just said I had something for free. But now I understand,
That's true.
because let's take your example, right?
Yeah.
You said you gave the loop kit out for free, but it's not actually for free. And the
It's
people
not.
who work for free in the beginning, it's not actually for free. They still get compensated.
Later on.
Exactly. And they get, even in the present, they're getting compensated with the experience. The failures, they learn from that.
Yeah.
The audience that they build up, they can leverage that in the future. The connections they make, as I said, with the loop kits, the whole free thing, somebody finding it on the computer.
Yep.
That's not free. That's a value they're getting in exchange. It's just not tangible.
It's just not monetary. That's all it is.
Exactly. It's not a figure you can see on a screen that says a dollar sign next to it that's in your account,
Yeah.
or cash you can hold in your hand. But that's still something. That's still value. That's 6-time platinum type value. It started with the free artwork.
That's true.
But you got paid a lot for that, or you got the big accomplishment of getting that.
True.
That you can even now leverage into bigger and all that stuff. So
True.
working for free is never working, because, as my mom said, and now I actually understand it,
Yeah.
nothing actually is for free.
It's not.
Even the stuff that we consume that we think is free,
It's not.
it's still consuming our time, our effort, our attention. There's still a bunch of stuff that
Exactly.
we're paying for that's not money, that's not tangible, but it's certainly not free. What we're, the value offer is somebody's always getting something in return.
Yeah, that's
It's
true.
just how you look at it.
That's true.
And you were able to see that in your way, not only to see that giving something for free is good, but also how to capitalize on it, which I think is something that was very special about the way you navigated that. When I was doing my research, I'm like, yeah, maybe you might not even realize it, but that's like it's a very brilliant move on your part at such a young age, especially to like leverage all of that.
Possibly. But you know what the other thing I think of
Yeah.
is, at the same time, I remember you were dropping paid loop kits
This is true.
and you were doing pretty well,
This is true.
right? And your samples were fire,
This is true.
right?
This
Because
is
I
true.
used to get your samples firsthand before the packs dropped.
This is true.
I used to use all of them. And I used to be like, yo, I know this guy is doing his stuff. And I believe we've had conversations where I tried to convince you to drop free loop kits. And you said, no, you value your work. And still, it's like, see, the thing is, for everyone, it works differently, right? For me, the free stuff worked. But for you, the paid stuff worked too.
But do you know what it is? I was still giving something away for free, which was the information in my tutorials.
True.
And I made some quality tutorials.
You did.
For the time, they were quality. Looking back, it is what it is.
Nah, for the time, they were
But for the
they were
time,
pretty good.
if you didn't know what you were doing and you saw my tutorial, especially the way I edited it, I'm like, as you, I understand stuff in a very logical, methodical way.
the
So I'm
simpler,
like,
the better, right?
yeah, the simpler, the better. The better, not the
Yeah.
better. But I'm literally like, okay, I wasn't showing my face, but I guess it also added to it, right? You have no other input, no other stimuli on my video
Yeah, except the information.
except for the
Straight to
information.
the point.
And it's all organized too. You see, step 1, do this.
And the text.
And
the text would show up. I remember
exactly.
this.
The text would show up. And not only that, I understood how people take in information.
Exactly.
This is all in hindsight. I wasn't really thinking this deeply back then. But you'd have step 1, you'd have a big title with like maybe 10 words max. Because you want
Keep it
something big to
short.
follow. If somebody already knows to add a hi-hat, I'll just write add a hi-hat. And then I would tell you extra tips like make sure to use some triplet bounces in here.
Use triple bouncing,
Yeah.
give some spaces in
Oh
between.
yeah,
Remember all
make
of
sure
this.
to add some, I'd
Yeah,
add
yeah.
extra details in a smaller font and small, but it was very concise, very organized.
And very effective.
Yeah, and that was what I was giving out for free. That was
Yeah.
my free value offer.
Yeah.
And that's why I was able to leverage that into charging for kids.
True.
You had the loop kits that were free on their own,
Yeah.
and you leverage that for following.
That's true.
So it all starts with something necessarily that's for free. Even anybody that sells anything, I'm venturing to say they're offering you something for free before you decide to give them money to purchase what they're selling, whether it be product or service. It could even be a free experience or a free feeling.
True.
Like a Nike ad could make you feel a certain way for free,
Yeah.
but then you're deciding this made me feel so good, I want to find something on their website to buy it,
True.
But that gets pretty deep into the whole sales thing. But
True.
it, as you said, it is different for everybody. But I think one thing I'd like people to take away from this conversation, or at least this tangent of the conversation, is yeah, don't be afraid to give a free value proposition. Just be smart about how you're doing it
That's true.
so that you're getting something in return. And then also realize you're getting something in return too. It's
Yeah.
not free. Free is more so a label of anything.
I
As
agree.
my
It's
mom
just
said,
a label to like make people understand this has no monetary value to it.
exactly. But
But
no
it's not
monetary
true.
value doesn't mean no value. That's why you
Exactly.
use the word
That's
monetary
where
in
you get
front of
mixed
it.
up,
Yeah. That's a very smart way of wording that.
right? So that's what it is.
100%.
But yeah, that's the other thing I wanted to ask as well, right?
What's up?
For me, I think from the start, more or less, where I was building my following and like like people around me and my community, I started showing my face pretty early on. You didn't show your face.
Yes.
You never showed your face.
Yes.
I did not know Cookup was a 6'6" black man in 2019 because
Yeah.
back then you uh what was it? For some reason you were very much like I want to keep a mysterious persona,
Yes.
and you said I'm not gonna do a face reveal. Because I remember we were when we had a collective, Gokyo, which is
Yes.
now dead, I believe.
Yeah.
We all showed our face except you
This is true. And Ran.
and Ran.
Ran never showed his face.
Ran hasn't changed his profile picture in 7 years.
But you want me to tell you what it is? Yeah, I'm being totally honest. I
Yeah.
was like very much overweight. So I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna lose weight before I show my face. I'm not gonna, I want to curate my. I don't want to just, yeah, that was the
But
thing.
I was overweight too.
Yeah, but like I was like damn near 400 pounds. So like I
You were
really,
400 pounds?
I was like, bro, I don't know how I was at my heaviest, but
Yeah.
when I had the courage to even step on the scale, it's at 380. I'm tall, so it's like not the worst, but I'm still like, yo, 380, bro. What am I doing, bro?
That's true.
And that's because, I made some money, so I just started ordering hella food, especially with the pandemic. Started
imagine.
eating and just like not moving.
It was the same for me during the pandemic, bro.
Yeah.
I reached 220 in the
Yeah.
pandemic.
Yeah. And it's crazy how it just naturally, like, you just wake up one day, you going down the stairs, at least it was for me, doing my laundry.
Yeah.
Why am I huffing and puffing? I used to like have basketball practice 2 times a week. I was like chilling. I might have been tired after it, but I'm going downstairs. That's nothing compared to having to jump up and down for a ball like 20 different times. I'm like, yo, I'm getting big. And a lot of people, but not just people, producers specifically,
Yeah.
the nature of our job is being, as you said earlier, watch out for your back. We're sat down at a desk
That's true.
for hours on end.
So it's very easy
You're
to
not-
overlook your health.
Yeah, your health is a big thing in producing. And then with the pandemic, the lifestyle change that brought upon, the fact that now we have contactless delivery,
Yeah.
you don't even have to get up and even make the walk to your car to go pick something up. It comes to you. You walk to your front door, you pick it up. You don't even have to shake buddy's hand. You don't even have to see him.
That's true.
It's just food right there at your doorstep.
Yeah.
Like there's so many little things about our lifestyle that have changed, and then also the nature of our career.
Yeah.
Yeah, health. Want to watch out for that one.
That's true. I
Yeah.
think that's something that a lot of us overlooked. Because the other thing was we were also like, I won't lie, we were like super locked in.
No, that's true.
Because we had, like, we had goals. Because remember, you were like, yo, I gotta get a song on no cap.
Yeah,
And then you did it.
yeah,
And then song on platinum, right?
yeah. Literally, yeah.
Like, we were like, I won't lie, in a way, we were like go-getters. Because we knew it wasn't impossible, but we knew we had to put it in X amount of work,
This is very true.
right? Part of it was letting our health go for us to put in the X amount of work.
Very true.
But I guess the part of character development that comes in is like after a while you realize that your health is important as well.
Yep.
When you're young, I think it's slightly harder to put emphasis on your health.
I see.
Right? The other thing I feel is also when you're younger, I don't think like you should feel pressure to like, I gotta be fit. And sure, it's cool. But when you're young, you want to eat, you want to enjoy, do whatever you want, man.
I see. I think the opposite
You think so?
in two ways. You said it's harder to put emphasis on your health. I think it's hard at any age, but it's the easiest when you're young. It's still hard it's hard at any age, right? So it's still
Yeah.
hard right now. Like it's still an effort for me to go to the gym or to make sure that I'm not overeating certain things that I just know are not good for my body. But in the grand scheme of things, my metabolism and my energy base is going to be the best right now, when I'm
That's
like
true.
22. It's not going to be when I'm 42. That's going to be harder to lose weight then and
That's
stuff like
also
that.
true.
Or harder to build muscle.
But you see, the other thing is
Mhm.
when you're getting older, like here's what I realized, right? I have a lot of like elder people in my family. Like I remember my great grandpa. He was great grandpa. He was 92, and like I've seen the guy, and like when I was young and I saw him, I didn't really understand. I could tell the man was sick, but I didn't know what it was. As I grew older and I had more first-hand experience with certain like diseases or just people in your family having to have issues because of your health, it kind of has more of an impact for you because you're able to understand it more,
100%.
right? I feel like like just like normally you would just understand more about health and its importance when you get older.
This is very true.
When you're younger, even if you know that this is bad, like a kid knows chocolate is bad,
Yeah.
they're still gonna be like, I want the chocolate.
Yeah. And
They want the ice cream.
yeah.
They're still gonna eat it.
Yeah. Because it doesn't have a drastic impact. Your body's so like, you know, like we can sleep for 2 hours, wake up and do it all over again for a week straight and we're
Exactly.
chilling. Because that's what it is. No consequences, no real consequences when you're young. So it's harder to put an emphasis on it. But I kind of, you know what, I agree with you and I disagree at the same time.
Yeah.
It's kind of the whole way I think life is a game, but then this life is very serious all at once, you know?
That's true.
Like you can't just play around, but what you should be doing every single moment of every single day is just playing around because it's all a game.
It's also true.
It's like you choose whatever you want to dress, how you want to walk, how you want to talk, whatever. It's all like a game. It's literally you press the controls. But it's serious, very
true.
serious.
That's the thing that people
You
don't
know?
realize.
It's a weird one. So with the health thing, or with I could eat a pizza. I don't really care, but I'm not gonna do that every day. It's like a balance. You want to.
It's like kind of like reward yourself when you deserve something that you know is unhealthy.
Exactly, and that word balance makes me think of what you were saying. We had a very definite purpose, which is getting songs for me or whatever it was.
We were locked in on the placement stuff.
We were locked in on like
the
music.
entire us and our group and the people we were around. It was me, you, Palace, with the Z, not V.
Yeah.
Not PV Lace. Palace.
Yeah.
Ran, Ferno, Spaceman, and Berlin.
Yeah, we're all in that group chat and we're all locked in and we all went like gold, platinum at least it was. But you know what is interesting though? I feel like every creative, and I'm not going to put myself in crazy category, but to a certain extent, right? Every creative has that phase where they're obsessed with just one thing. And as you say, they lose balance sometimes and all the water gets poured in the cup of music, let's say.
That's true.
Or let's say for an athlete, all they do is like a Kobe Bryant, eat, sleep.
That's true.
Basketball. That's literally it. I think that's an important phase to have. But I think once you have that phase and you have the leverage or you have the luxury to not do that and still be successful, you should do that with a similar hunger, but just tone that down a little bit and then take care of the rest of the stuff.
Yeah.
Family, health, community, all that stuff. And then you're a well-rounded person, but then you're still like...
You're still locked in.
Yeah, you're still locked in. You're still at the top of your craft and stuff like that. That's a hard thing to do. Some people...
It's tough.
Some people either don't do it enough.
Yeah.
They get so locked in on music that they have all these accomplishments, but then what do you have to show for it, right? Who do you have to share it with? Or some people have too many people to share it with, and then you get the classic story of basketball player with a $100 million contract, but he wanted all 50 of his friends to experience it with him. So 2 years after he's done his career, he's bankrupt. Like you went too far into the whole stuff, and you didn't focus enough on your craft. True. And I mean, that's also just lack of discipline with money and all that stuff. But
yeah.
Maybe that's a terrible example.
But it all comes from balance. You're right.
Yeah,
it's absolutely it all comes down to the core essence of just balance.
Yeah. And I think especially us, right? Early 20s, and I feel like a lot of producers are actually a lot of people from every different age, and this can apply to everybody, is just kind of compensating until you find that perfect level. Balance. Everything just balances, right?
And I think you can't find the balance looking for it. It just comes to you.
This is true.
Because
very true.
If you're like, yeah, I'm gonna schedule my day so this much time for health, this much time for this, nothing is gonna be good. Like you have stuff allotted for a specific time, but I don't know, just like you can't just outrightly just plan it out. It has to like come naturally,
This is very true.
It has to naturally fall into your cycle.
This is very true. I think to a certain extent, some people definitely could. I know, especially with work, they're very specific with the time periods and they follow it to a T. But I think like most people, it's like, yeah, it's a free-flowing thing that you eventually, as you say, it comes to you, you develop a feel for like, I feel like I need to be doing this, or, oh, I haven't hit the gym this week, so let me
just make up for
it. Yeah. Just balances. It's never, no 2 weeks are the same.
I agree.
But at the end of both weeks, it ends up being like, I worked out this many times, or I spent this much time with my family.
That's true.
I spent this much time on my craft. I spent this much time practicing. I spend this much time around my community of people.
Yeah.
And it all ends up like, when you reach that level of well-roundedness, then you're like, yeah.
Now it's fine.
Yeah, now it's fine.
But getting to there is a little bit of a process. So don't beat yourself up about it,
No, for sure.
Just take your time, play around with stuff.
Yeah.
It'll come when it comes.
Yeah. That's another thing. Two points that you literally just said there. It'll come when it comes. Having that mentality with stuff.
Yeah.
I think that plays on the mindset, right? Because if you're thinking it'll come when it comes,
Yeah,
then you're not desperate for it to come. You're just you, and it'll come when it comes.
that's it.
So I'm gonna just keep working,
That's
and
true.
it'll come when it comes. And
Be
then
be consistent, and then the rewards will come when they need to come.
yeah. And it's hard to see that when you've never had any type of like proof that your work will result in a reward, right?
Yeah.
But if you do have that mindset, even with no proof, that you have undeniable, unshakable faith in yourself that it'll come when it comes, then having that mindset prevents you from being desperate and prevents you from
agree.
making mistakes
I
that would
agree.
actually block it from coming. It's almost like you're working against yourself in that certain sense by not having the oh it'll come when it comes mindset.
True.
Which a big pause on everything I just said, but but also another thing is that also lends into a whole, as you said.
Yeah.
You said just play with it, and I think
Yeah, just go with it.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good to sit down and maybe spend 3 hours on literally just practicing piano skills. Let's say you just need to spend the most boring 3 hours doing the most mundane task.
Yeah.
Yes, there's a time for that.
Yeah.
But you definitely have to keep a time for just playing with it, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll just make some different shit today. I'll just make some I'll just play with it, you know?
You're just doing what you want to do. You're not like
yeah.
you're not like pinpointed trying to like complete a task.
Yeah.
Because a lot of learning comes from informal ways,
100%.
right? You pick up a lot of stuff when you're not trying to learn, which is what I think was the issue with me in school. They were trying to teach me something, but I didn't want to learn it.
100%.
And I didn't like it, so I couldn't absorb anything, even if I wasn't paying attention or whatever it was.
Would you say that it was too rigid of a system for you and
Yeah.
you would have liked a more fluid and playful environment, eh?
For me, it was too much.
Yeah.
I think since I was young, I've always been a creative person. So for me, I can't sit in like a super formal setting. Feels too out of place for me. And it's wrong for me to say this because I have to adjust. Adjusting is another thing.
No, for sure. But I could also understand your point though. Like if it is too much of a certain way, it's still, you know, you
Like-
say you're a creative person, like
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I like my creative freedom to a certain level, you know?
yeah. I think there's value in building up a certain technical acumen, even for a creative field like production, right?
Yeah.
Just knowing certain techniques, knowing what an EQ does, knowing what a reverb does and how to dial it, just word for like methodically. But as you said, you're a creative person, and in a lot of creative fields, yeah, you'll probably have a better time, or you'll probably make a better filmmaker by letting the person make a film
That's true.
rather than sitting him down and make him learn
Theoretically, how it needs to be done.
exactly. Or you'll
Yeah.
probably have a better music producer by giving him enough time to just experiment on his own,
That's true.
and then maybe correcting him here and there,
Yeah.
and then maybe letting him know, oh, you put this reverb is too much. This is what you should have done here. But that's, I think, why a lot of creatives, producers especially say, oh, I could just never do school. I dropped out at this and this age. Whatever, because I've researched a lot of producers. One thing that always comes out is school is just never for me.
Yeah.
But not only producers, a lot of creatives, artists, school
Yeah.
is never for me. Too rigid for a creative person.
Yeah.
We need that free flowness. We need that ability to make a mistake that's so beautiful that either teaches us or that it becomes our new invention or our new signature style, you know?
That's true.
Because that's who we are as people. We create, you know?
Yeah.
We're not just robots. We're not just like, okay, show me what to do and I'll do it a million times.
That's true.
I don't think the human spirit is meant to do that at all, actually. I don't, but maybe some people are wired differently, but I know for
Frankly,
sure.
with a little bit of passion,
Yeah.
a million times working as a robot, absolutely not. But the other thing I look into is the is it Kenny Beats who said the 10,000 hour rule? I think the 10,000 hour rule is very like real, but I realized it after unknowingly putting in 10,000.
I see.
Does that make sense?
That does make a sense because if you're passionate about it, as you said,
True.
you're not
'Cause-
thinking. Yeah.
Because if you know about this rule, you're gonna be like, yeah, I have to put 10,000 hours in.
Yeah.
You're gonna put 10,000 hours in, but you're just putting the hours in.
Yeah.
You're not necessarily developing.
Yeah. You're not playing with it
Not
for
playing
sure
with it, yeah.
because it's way too serious. You're thinking about a number, right?
For us, we were literally just playing around.
Yeah.
We were literally just playing around. We were literally doing whatever we wanted. We're like, let me try this today. Let me try that today. Because I remember with your samples as well, there was something about them that I could just tell. I could hear, and within 3 seconds, I'll know this is a cook-up sample.
For sure.
Because that was the time when the Spanish guitar samples were popping out.
Yeah. The Pyrex Whipper.
The Pyrex Whipper, Southside samples, all of that, the VZ type of samples. And then I used to look for those samples too. I don't play the guitar. So having cook-up, having you was just like,
Yep.
Perfect. It was just like literally,
Yes, sir.
that's it. It was
Handshake and
literally a
all.
handshake. That's all it was.
Yeah,
Right? Because we had so many collabs.
for sure.
We had so much. Like my YouTube channel probably has a lot of beats with you. Not probably does for sure.
Yeah,
They never got sold. They never blew up. But yeah,
yeah.
they're there. So it's just like, I forgot what I was
We
saying.
were talking about the art of play and the 10,000 hours. That
Exactly.
some people
Oh,
take
yeah.
it serious,
True, true, true.
but then we were just playing with it. You know, we were
We
just
were just playing with it. We
Yeah.
had the ulterior motive of trying to, we got to get this song.
Yeah.
We got to get it this somewhere. But we weren't like, I don't know how to explain. We were just kind of like, we took it in a more lighter approach.
This is true. Even though back in the day,
Yeah.
you ask us and you're like, we'd probably be very intense in describing what we did. In
Yeah.
hindsight, we were just playing with
We
it.
were just chilling, bro.
In hindsight, you just at the end of it saw Air's tutorial, Nick Meier's tutorial, and just let me remake it. Let me put my own spin on it.
Yeah, that's it.
What if I put the 808 like this? What if I remember you used to like be heavy into like Spanish samples or Latin samples with like horns and stuff like that, and you had your
Yeah.
whole sound with that,
Yeah.
and you would just play with it. You just find a new VST, new free VST, like you would just create.
That's it.
It's like a
You
butterfly.
create
You
with
just
the intention of creating.
yeah,
The other thing is there's a group of people who create with the intention of being monetary.
yeah,
It works sometimes, but doesn't promise longevity.
yeah. And I think why it doesn't promise longevity, or how do you even say that word?
I don't know. Is it longevity or longevity?
You messed me up because I know how to say that word anyway. It doesn't promise the length of a career, to put it like that, because it doesn't have any impact or inspire anybody.
That's true.
Because when you're creating for monetary value, you're going to create the most common denominator music,
That's
which
true.
is the music that's trendy, which is the
You
music
make
that's not
you make what's gonna
impact.
sell
Yeah, you make what's going to sell, but what has impact
is different.
is for sure, as I think Kanye said,
Yeah.
he knows he makes music that people are not going to like, and he thinks that's a good thing, that some people are just not going to like his music. He's okay with it because if it's truly impactful, it's going to make you feel a certain way, whether that's
true.
good or bad.
That's true.
But if your music is sure to make somebody feel just either neutral or positive, there's no way it could have an impact.
I agree.
There's no way it could actually, I mean, it could, right? But the inspiration's not going to last over generations and decades. It's not going to be a story that's told.
You might have a span, but then you're done with
It's
it.
going to be a story for the here and now, and then.
Yeah.
But there's certainly a space, especially if you like music and music production, to find and carve your way where it's very business oriented, and maybe your goal isn't to aspire. Maybe not everybody thinks like us.
Yeah, that's completely fair. I
For sure.
understand completely.
Maybe that person likes music, found a way to monetize it,
True.
and feeds their family every single week. I could never, look down upon that. But I will say, when you're making music that's going to impact and inspire,
You're gonna be more
yeah,
like, I don't know how to explain. You're just gonna come across unconventional ways of making music, or just unconventional ways to reach results you probably wouldn't if you were with different
For sure.
goal in mind.
for sure. And you're going to leave your mark on
That's true.
things,
Maybe not on things, but maybe for some people it might just
Yeah.
be like, some person's gonna listen to one thing you do and they're gonna be like, oh my god,
Yeah, yeah,
like that's so crazy.
yeah.
Ferno, great example. Ferno samples, he had like something about Ferno's samples had like that up tempo, like happy kind of energy. He would make it dark, he'd make it cinematic, whatever. But that energy was just like you just want to shake your head.
This is true. He had a
Right?
very strong sense of rhythm in his samples.
I agree.
It wasn't just musicality. It was also almost a percussive element to the way he
Exactly.
would arrange a lot of his keys too.
Yeah.
The song that just went gold, the one with Hancho and Rand.
So fire, bro.
Dun, 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 like the
The
drums
melody
are,
stuck in my head, bro.
Yeah.
Like the keys and the Rand drums.
Yeah.
Rand and Ferno, great combo, bro.
That's something unconventional about that left an impact on both of us in
I
the
agree.
same way.
I agree.
I think it even goes back to the point of the networking stuff.
Hmm.
Is you said you literally just used an unconventional method.
Hmm.
But I think what people do sometimes, which I'm not the biggest fan of, is they'll see something unconventional that works and then just copy it. And as you said, it's only unconventional the first time.
Yeah.
After that, it's
It's
just
not unconventional anymore.
exactly.
The only way it stays unconventional if it's you who did it and you keep doing it.
Yeah, because then it's your signature. But
That's
then, yeah, it's only unconventional until people catch on to it.
That's
And
true.
it's life. Life is ever changing.
I agree.
So it's unconventional for that period. And then, yeah, there's a new moon. The moon goes up and the moon comes down, and then things change.
Exactly.
The earth rotates.
You have to update as well.
Yeah, it becomes part of the past.
Exactly.
The new becomes old,
Exactly.
There's, the light, and then, it cycles. Everything, cyclical. So you can't just stay in the old cycle
That's true.
forever.
That's
Gotta
true.
always keep it. And that's one thing with the great artists,
Yeah.
people that are able to keep up with cycles and keep making new sounds and stuff like that. I was talking with Carter just in here yesterday about Playboi Carti's music.
Yeah.
And like it or not, like his albums set the sound before the sound was there. That's why a lot of people didn't like his albums at the
That's true.
beginning.
There were, I would say,
Yeah.
for the late 2010s, he had some of the most like futuristic music
Yeah.
without it being futuristic.
And influential for sure.
Influential, yeah.
Because now you hear people doing the 2020 Playboi Carti sound. Now that people are catching on or whatever,
Yeah.
and you're just like, everybody sounds the same. Yeah,
Make it
because
play down.
they all sound like him 4 years ago, you know?
That's true.
Or people are all using the artwork technique that you used 5 years ago, but it's a new technique now that they should be trying to play
Exactly.
with and
You have
experiment
to
in this.
update it, you know?
Exactly, yeah. And you only update and find an unconventional stuff through playful creativity.
Playful creativity and being put in certain scenarios where you have to think creatively to get out,
100%.
right?
100%, yeah. Problem solving, that's one of humans' greatest strengths.
Exactly.
Put your-
Sometimes maybe the answer is just a simple solution.
Yep,
That might just be a solution for the problem, but for somebody else, it could be a whole technique, a whole process,
I see.
right?
Yep.
So think
Putting yourself in that situation could
Exactly.
definitely like inspire that next level thinking out of somebody.
yeah.
Now, speaking of putting yourself in a situation, right?
Hmm.
We were talking about earlier that before you had like a certain hunger, and even looking back at it, like you had a certain hunger for music
Hmm.
and certain things that you would just go above and beyond to do.
Hmm.
And then maybe now that you've gotten the accolades, the songs, the connections, there isn't that same hunger because obviously you've reached a certain level with it, which I think is a totally natural thing.
Yeah.
How do you put yourself in any situations to make sure that or any situations that would elicit that same type of hunger or work ethic that you had back then? Is that anything you wanna you do to get back to that state where you were just like, going at it like crazy with the work ethic, the hunger and all that stuff?
Yeah, 100%. I think complacency is a real thing.
Mm.
Never knew about it. Never knew what the word meant. Couple people who I knew when I moved to Toronto and I met up with them, they talked about the same thing. Couple of my friends, we feel the same way. Talked about this a lot. It's just like you work so hard. You like. I'm not gonna say I worked too hard. No, I wanted something. I worked for it. I got it, and then it started doing well beyond just getting it. And then when you see the accolades and you see it's doing well, subconsciously in the back of your head it tells you, you know what, you can take your foot off the gas, relax for a bit. That's the worst thing.
Mm.
The worst thing.
Yep,
Once you do that, you just lose all your momentum,
this is true.
right? For me, it's like I'm lucky enough where the song that I've produced is doing good numbers, right? But realistically, in the last 2 years, year and a half, I haven't had like a major release come out. There's been like small ones here and there, but there's not ones that I'm like, yeah, there's a major one. That combined with the rap, the numbers of rap going down, it's just like, you just know you have to step up. And I know I have to step up. It's just, for me right now, moving halfway across the globe to a new country, settling in, adapting a new lifestyle, doing university, homework, doing other stuff I like, having a social life, just getting older and realizing there's more stuff to do and there's more at stake. It just makes it harder for me to give my 100% to music. When I was doing the same thing before, it was for me that I wouldn't go out. I'd go to school, come home, make music, go for whatever tutoring I have, finish anything, homework, just like get done with it, study barely for exams, just keep making music. I had that sense of freedom and comfort of being in my room, being in my home, not having to be bothered by anyone else, not having to maintain as much of a social life, right? Because when you're young, it's like if you don't talk to your friends, they're chilling.
Yeah, it's whatever.
It's whatever.
You're too busy making the beats anyway. Your mind is not thinking like,
Yeah.
oh yeah,
Like, you don't see your friends for a week and you see them the next week. They're not gonna.
yeah.
And for me, I grew up in a small town, so my friends were the people I went to school with every day for 13 years. So they understood.
Yeah.
They knew that, yeah, he's doing his music thing. Let him do his thing. Nobody ever took offense. I had a couple friends who are like really close even to me to this day, who always supported me, who'd like do their back end research informally and be like, yo, this producer is fire, you should work with them. Or, like if I tell them like, yo, this guy hit me up and they know about it, they'll be like, yo, they'll gas me up.
Yo,
So I had like a comfortable circle. As I grew older, reaching your 20s, you realize social life is one thing, your health is another thing. You gotta, being in a new country, obviously, part of me, I love exploring. I love like just going around and doing nothing, walking around, just seeing new stuff.
yo,
That just, it's like a lot of stuff comes onto your plate,
this is true.
and you don't necessarily have that freedom to lock in on music.
This is very true.
So when I do have the time, I'm still making music. It's just, I'd say my goals have kind of changed from chasing placements to more so, getting records done. Because the other thing was, um, when I'd made these songs came out, they did big, great, but I'm just a sample maker on the song. I'm just a sample maker. I'm not even a producer. I didn't have any say in how the song actually went about being made. It was not an artist I knew in person. It's not somebody who I felt like, I just feel like being a sample maker, you can get a song, you can do a lot, numbers, success, cool. But for me, like personal fulfillment, I felt like not having that complete involvement in the record, kind of, it just like, it was just like I can do more.
No, for sure.
I felt like I wanted to do that. So that's why I think in the last 2-3 years I've taken slightly step back from chasing placements to more so focusing on working with upcoming artists, working with, you know, people who are visiting the city, my friends who have like, music that they're passionate about, who are open to developing and, having more of a say, whether it be from making the beat to recording to words or lyrics to how it's being recorded. Maybe I'm doing background vocals, artwork, video shoot, putting it out. I don't know.
Yeah, having more of a creative say,
Exactly.
other than just providing a canvas for a producer to add
Yeah.
something to and then to make a song with.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I think it's just for me. I was doing it for such a long time. I just wanted a break.
yeah,
Back of my head, I want to get back to it 100%. Even right now, like I feel the motivation. I'm like, okay, I've been slacking for like a year and a half, 2 years now. I need to log back in. Like I've still been making music. I just haven't sent anything out.
I see.
I have like 600 samples on my computer. Why haven't I sent it out? No idea. I'm just lazy. That's all it is.
Aren't we all to a certain extent, eh?
Yeah. So,
Yeah. I think that's one thing you said though that really struck a chord with me was momentum. Like you were talking about momentum. I think momentum is everything.
yeah.
Because and also before I go into this tangent, I do want to say, right, it might be, as you said, you're shifting your goals. So it might not be records you're getting, but then personal development, you might be like in much better shape per se, or you might be a much more social person. And the value of that, almost like the thing we're talking about free stuff earlier, value of a record is something, but yeah, what's a record if you can't be there to enjoy it for a long and healthy life,
Yeah, true.
So it's shifting your goals and not having certain, whatever it is. I don't think it's necessarily like a slacking thing. It's just like, and also for me, there was a time where I was really focused on my health in the gym, and I was going to the gym pretty much every single day, and I was consuming a lot of content about that.
Yeah.
I was like, yo, I barely made music this week, like,
But
but
it's
I've been
okay, right?
really good in the gym though.
Yeah.
Like I've been getting really better lifts and all this stuff, and getting better at like boxing because I love boxing and that stuff. But I haven't made music, so it's a weird one because especially for producers, and we're talking about the balance thing, when you're balancing it out and music kind of takes less of the first priority space, it can be a little weird, and you can feel a little weird about like not being making music every the whole time. But my point is momentum. Momentum, I think, is everything,
I agree.
because how easy is it when you're already sending samples to send samples,
Yeah. Like
versus when there's a big layoff of like, oh, I haven't done it in a month, or I haven't done it in years, or whatever it
it
is.
starts off as 1 week and
Yeah,
then it's gone. That's the other thing I've realized, right?
yeah,
The difference between motivation and discipline. Same thing. Going to the gym, sending samples. They're both like side by side, right?
yeah,
You have to do them consistently. And you might not feel like going to the gym one day. You might not feel like sending samples the same day. But it's the discipline that you have to send. The same discipline that you have to go to the gym.
yeah,
That is going to help you improve.
100%.
Right? You go to the gym one day, you're going to like, okay, you're working more, you're keeping consistency,
Yeah,
and you're going to slowly make changes that you need to see. You keep sending samples out. You're increasing your chances of your music being taken into a record.
100%.
You're improving your chance of networking with someone. So it's just side by side. Discipline is more important than motivation.
100%. But I think the hardest thing to see about discipline
Mm.
is why we need discipline, right?
Mm.
Because in the moment, sometimes you don't feel like going to
That's
the
true.
gym or don't feel like sending out. Like, I just want to sit here and watch my show. And like, I don't want to get up my bed to go to my computer and send it out.
True.
But if you can project on a long enough basis,
Yeah.
remember what your goal is,
Yeah.
and project a version of yourself having the discipline to go to the gym, let's say,
Yeah.
versus the version of you that stays and just watches the Netflix show that actually doesn't really do much for you, right?
That's
In
true.
that instant. And that you know that I could take 10 minutes, send the sample, and even get back to my show. It's not
True.
that big of a deal. But the version of you that decides to do that, you get the version of that decides to do that, goes out their way to do that, and has the discipline to do that
Yeah.
over 3, 6 months, like 9 months, 12 months. Yeah, that version has a few more placements, a few more connections,
Exactly.
a few more opportunities, a lot more money for sure if
That's
he's doing
true.
it correctly.
That's true.
But seeing that in the moment is
It's
the
tough.
hardest thing.
It's tough.
So I think it's always a great reminder whenever I read books or consume content
Yeah.
that speak about these things about discipline. I think the biggest thing for me is if I'm able to project it over a long enough time, then I'm like, yeah, let's get it, bro. Because
Just get up and do it.
yeah, just get up and do it. Just go to the gym. Just literally lift one weight.
True.
By the time you get started, you're already, then you're in
Yeah.
the mood, whatever. But like, just push enough to get to where you want to do it.
Exactly. Just
Yeah.
a little bit of work is better than no work.
Hell yeah. Because at least you're staying, like, you're not detrained. Like in the gym, you can easily get detrained if you don't do anything.
I agree.
But you could easily stay conditioned by literally doing 10-minute jog, 10-minute weightlifting. That's 20 minutes. You don't even have to put a whole hour and a
20
half.
minutes of your day.
Yeah. And what's 20 minutes to stay conditioned,
That's true.
So when you actually feel like doing it, you can go an hour and a half and not have any, crazy injuries or
Yep.
feel like, oh, I can't lift this weight because I haven't been here for so long,
And
what's sending like even one message to somebody with a good value offer?
Exactly.
Just one,
that's the thing. You send out samples to at least one person a day.
Yeah.
That's better than not sending anything out for months.
Yeah.
Right? And eventually the thing is you send out at least, if you do like tiny bits of work every day, even though you don't want to, eventually that tiny bit is going to become slightly bigger.
Yeah.
And then that slightly bigger is going to get back to your complete previous routine.
Yep.
Which is why discipline is important.
Very important.
I understand when it comes to making the music, if you don't have motivation, that's okay. Don't force it.
It's like a creative endeavor.
It's a creative thing.
So it's a little different, yes.
But a task like sending stuff out, networking, just do it.
This is very true.
It's a numbers game.
Very true.
It still is. It's tougher now, but you have more chance of success if you're putting your stuff out to the world compared to when you're not.
For sure.
Right?
That chance, as you said, incrementally builds up over time. It's only a little percent every day that you get.
Exactly.
But seeing that little percent doesn't seem like too impactful that if you miss out on it one day,
that's true.
But you don't want, because we said momentum.
Yeah.
Inertia. It's a law of nature. It's easier for me to keep walking than to start walking or to stop walking.
Exactly.
So why don't I just keep doing one step, even if it's a small step, But it's not easy to see that when you want to take that step and you just don't feel like doing it. But I guess it's a great reminder. Like hearing this back, I'm probably even going to be reminded, like, yeah, the thing I don't want to do.
Maybe it's not that bad. Give it a try again.
Yeah. Or maybe just get involved in it in 5 minutes.
True.
See how long that lasts, and then that might be somebody at the door. I don't think it is. But yeah, just get involved in it. Get 5 minutes into the task, and then boom, you feel like
you're fine.
Or maybe you do it for 40 minutes and you hated all those 40 minutes.
But it's okay.
At least
that 40 minutes is progress.
It's progress, and at the end of it, you could say, yeah, I got off of my ass and I did it.
That's true.
So I'm proving that to myself that I'm the type of person that has the discipline to do this. That's already enough value in itself to me.
I agree.
But then you were talking about earlier, to make another tangent, right?
Mm.
Talking about how that record influenced your life, allowed you to move out to North America. You're also talking about having friends that would just let you do your thing.
Yeah.
And we're also talking about you growing up in Ruiz, right?
Mm.
And there not being much of a hip hop scene out there.
Yeah.
And before the podcast, we're also talking about how feedback is very important.
I agree.
How getting feedback is very important. And another fifth thing, I don't know why I like giving so many points to build a question. But the fifth thing, right? You were talking about in an interview about how it was cool being back home.
Yeah.
And having your friends and all that, but they couldn't give you feedback. And they would be like, oh, this beat is cool, but they couldn't actually like really criticize in a way that would actually help you improve it.
Yep.
How do you think it's changed you as a person being in North America, not only North America, but in a studio surrounded with so many creatives
Hmm.
that could actually give you real-time feedback in person on your music or on how you create or stuff like that. How do you think that's impacted you as a musician or as a creative?
I think, like we were talking before the podcast as well, right? So it's like what I said is when you know people and you have like a slight bit of personal connection with them, right? Just off of music, you feel like you're friends with someone, even if you don't know them all the way. You're friends. You feel friendly around them. You're chilling. You don't feel that sense of awkwardness or formality between them. It's easier for them to give you honest feedback, which
This is
is
true.
essential. In this studio, it's a house of creatives. It's everyone here. I know them really well. I may not have worked with everyone in the same house, but I see them almost every other day, multiple times a week.
Yeah.
So when it does come time to get feedback, I can literally just go up like, yo, you want to come and give me feedback? Like, sure, why not? They'll come and they'll be completely honest. They'll tell me what I need to hear. And if there's something I don't need to hear, they'll let me know. That's it. Simple as that. Compared to before, where for me, getting feedback from my friends was they liked it. They liked it, one, because they probably weren't introduced or they hadn't listened to beats before. Second, they know I'm their friend, so they're trying to support me.
For sure.
Both of which super grateful for. Great people,
Indeed.
But for me as a creative, because I knew I was missing something and I wasn't developing, I knew I had to improve. So what I did was I used to go online on Discord service and join beat battles
Yeah.
and get flamed.
Yeah.
I get flamed so bad. You remember the time when I used to do reverb
Yeah.
claps, right?
They call that trial by fire.
Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes you have to go through that flaming, that roasting to understand
Yeah.
there's a lot to work on. I'm
It is
not
a
as
lot.
good as I think, you know?
And you know what the thing is? The most important thing is knowing that when feedback is given to you, take it as constructive criticism. Don't let it get to your heart. That's so important because it's very easy if you're a young creative to get feedback and immediately be like, "Oh, this guy's a hater. Oh, they don't like
Yeah.
music. Oh,
Like your
they don't
ego kind
understand."
of. Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
just be open. Take whatever's being said with a pinch of salt,
Yeah.
right? And if it's somebody who has more experience in it than you do, it's possibly a good idea to listen and take in what they're saying and try to make those changes.
Yeah. To have that humbleness to accept the criticism
I agree.
with open arms instead of just being closed off to it and
Yeah.
thinking that your stuff is the best stuff ever and they're
Yeah.
just totally tripping.
Yeah, like going back, remember I had this era in 2020 where I was making beats with reverb on the clap.
Wow. Yeah, I do remember this.
So much
And-
reverb.
Yep. Yep.
And it was, I know you guys were getting frustrated.
Yeah.
You, Palace, Ran, Ferno, everyone was, every day these guys were just like, bro, just stop the reverb on the clap.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, that's my sound, that's my style. I was being slightly cocky,
Yeah.
which is unusual of me because in general, I take every bit of criticism. Just that criticism, I never took it.
Yeah.
And then it took me like a whole year to, I guess, realize that clap having reverb is too much.
Yeah.
It's kind of unusable.
Yeah.
And then, it took me time. But then when I realized, I was like, oh,
Yeah.
these guys were right.
No, this is true. I guess in person, if somebody gives you that feedback, it kind of hits a little harder. Maybe online, you might have that,
The digital barrier is
the
just
digital
like,
barrier kind of makes the
it's just text
criticism.
messages.
It's like, oh, it's just a word on a screen. But like maybe somebody saying it to you with a certain expression, maybe you see how it makes them feel a certain way.
Yeah, true.
Could kind of. But then speaking of that and being in person as well, you've went from an online producer, as you're saying, because definitely in Royce, I don't think there was anybody you were making
No
music.
producers.
Yeah, you weren't making music in person with people.
Nope.
Now you moved to North America, Toronto especially, great music scene.
Amazing.
Yeah,
Amazing music, composition, producer scene.
Yeah.
Insane.
and creatives beyond just music as well.
Oh, yeah.
Like filmmaking and all this. Yeah. So now you're in a house of producers, as you say,
Mm.
and you're getting in studio sessions pretty frequently.
Yep.
But there was a time in between that, the transition period, right? Before you got in these sessions, but after you were in Toronto.
Yeah.
So you had to transition from the online producer to the producer in person type stuff.
Exactly. I'd say more from online producer, it was like a bedroom producer.
Mm.
From making music in your bedroom to going to a session making music with other people.
Yeah.
Because remember, the first session I was invited to was I did a camp in the studio before I got signed here,
Yeah.
and I met a lot of crazy people that day.
Yeah.
It was Boy Wonder's birthday camp,
I see.
hosted in Toronto, and I was put in a group. I was put in a room of people who I didn't really know. The only person I really knew was Eli. God bless Eli Brown. He knew who I was, so just knowing that someone who I briefly know made me feel more like in place. I didn't do much musically, but then it was just I got to chop it up with him, meet a person I've known on the internet for some time in real life. That's a great feeling. And then what it was it was my first session ever, first time in a studio. I don't know how things work. I have no idea, right? Like I don't know what I'm supposed to do, what studio etiquette is, how do you speak to other producers, and I don't know who the other people in the room are, and everybody else knows each other. So I felt like
a little excluded
a
from
little excluded.
Yeah.
But Eli was doing a good job of, like, he was like, yo, like, are you good? Like, this is what the studio is like.
Yeah.
Just filling me in on the basic details. So I'm super grateful to him. Super amazing guy. And then in between that session, one of the studio people just came around. They're like, yo, it's Wonder's birthday. Come down. I'm like, who the hell is Wonder, bro? And then we come down. And then Boy Wonder enters the front door, daps me up.
Wow.
And I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah.
I turn to the guy next to me. I'm like, is that, I don't know. I think for some reason I asked, is that DJ Academics?
No.
Right? And then he's like, no, it's Boy Wonder and today's his birthday.
Wow.
I'm like, yo.
You could be further off, DJ. I mean, I could see the resemblance.
Slightly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I was like,
I actually could not see the resemblance. Now I'm thinking about it, but
what? Okay,
I mean,
maybe I was just like,
maybe it's just the moment that
maybe it's just the moment, I don't know what it was. And then we all got together. He cut this cake of a goat.
Very fitting.
Very fitting. And then we all got a slice of the cake. Amazing cake. And then when he was done cutting the cake, I just went up to him like, yo, man, I'm sorry. I didn't know it was your birthday. Most humble, most nicest guy. He's like, don't even stress about it, man.
Yeah.
Don't even stress about it.
Yeah.
Enjoy the cake.
Yeah.
Love that cake.
Yeah.
Best slice of cake I had in my life.
Was it because of the actual cake or because of just the moment? Or
That and the moment. And just imagine the first time you go to the studio, you meet Boy Wonder.
Yeah. And he's making you feel so comfortable about it too. It's
such a humble guy.
Yeah.
Like there's no reason for someone, I mean, sure, human decency, fine, but there's no reason for someone that crazy to be so nice to a random person.
To go out their way, yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's just those little moments that make someone's,
Yeah.
So I think that was like my first point of being in the studio, and I was like, okay, this is amazing. And this was 1 month after I came to Toronto.
I see.
And I was kind of like forced to come to the session.
I see.
I was scared.
Yeah.
My managers were like, we pulled a lot of strings to get you into this camp. Just go, show your face, meet people, just get a feel of the scene here.
Yeah.
I was so scared.
Yeah.
But I still went.
Yeah.
It was worth it. I didn't make much music, but it was worth it. I enjoyed it. It was a great experience. I went home with a smile on my face. Humongous smile. And then, they actually took a Polaroid of me that day. Yeah. They put it out in the front.
I remember that one.
Yeah. I was chunky boy.
Hey, man. You lost some weight, but it's,
True.
Still smiling all the way through it.
Always, bro. So that was my first encounter in a studio.
Yeah.
That was cool because there was a lot of people.
Yeah.
Then I got connected to like an engineer, and there was supposed to be a rapper session who the engineer invited me to come through to. This was like 4 or 5 months after I came to Toronto. I was so scared. I said, I have to do assignments. I can't come.
Yeah.
I didn't have no assignments. I was just scared. I was just scared to go into an actual session with an artist. And I just, 2 more times they were offered by the same engineer and artist to come to the session. I was like, nah. And the artist was like decently big in the city. So for me, I just had that, I was just afraid because I hadn't been in a session before, like with an artist,
Yeah.
I'm used to cooking up alone. Having to do an artist session is just like, it felt like a lot of pressure.
There's a lot of unknowns,
A lot of unknowns.
Yeah.
And then it took me almost 1 year. I said no to almost every session. Then slowly I started linking up with producers. Started doing a couple of producer sessions. Then my first actual artist session was with Eli Brown. So me and Eli did a session with the Toronto rapper Doobie. And it was just like my first time with the rapper. And Eli has done a whole bunch of sessions. The guy's like a veteran.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm there like a noob. And we're trying to make these beats. And the artist comes up, and for some reason my hand just freezes. I can't make the beat. Like into the beat, I'm just like, and then Eli's like, yo, pass me the mouse. And then Eli finishes the beat up. He's just like, yo, just relax, just breathe.
Yeah.
We made the beat. He's like, yo, let's get out of the room, let them do their thing.
Yeah.
Just like ran me through it. Don't worry, bro. It's your first time. You'll be fine,
Yeah.
So I felt like just having that little bit of assurance goes a long way,
For sure.
because I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Yeah.
So just getting that affirmative response that like it's fine, don't stress, it's your first time, you get used to it. So yeah, I think there was that 1 year of buffer where I was so scared of doing sessions, especially artist sessions, and then eventually after that first session I did a couple more, and then now I'm like, put me in a room with any artist, I should be fine.
No, for sure. I see how you are in the studio now, and it's like you're totally in your element. You're
Yeah,
confident. You're just talking to people,
I'm
and
just like
it's
being me. I'm not
yeah,
like, like
it's a breeze.
it's a breeze
But
kind
then
of.
there was, as you're saying, the sessions where you're too scared to go, and
Yeah,
the whole year buffer where you were uncomfortable to the point where you would just, just not.
flop.
Yeah. How how would you say you were able to get out of your zone of comfort to get to the point where you are now? Like, what was the catalyst? What was something you might have told yourself, or a technique you might have used to break through that barrier of anxious or anxiety?
I'd say for me, combined with just being scared, the other thing was the cultural shift. Growing up in Asia in a small town, my small town, everything is a bubble. It's not even a city, so I'm not exposed to a lot of things. The way of thinking is very like kind of old school. So moving from there with what I've learned and how I've grown up to this completely new place, which I only know off of from movies. And I don't know anything about Canada. I thought Canada was like America.
Yeah.
So I was just relating to everything I've seen in American movies. Like, yeah, this is Canada.
Not far off though, if you
Not
really
far
think
off.
about
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But it was just a cultural shock when I came here. The way people speak, the way people dress, what is acceptable here, the way people think, and how they grew up in the school. Everything is different. There's like the sky and earth's difference in how my growing up era was and how theirs was.
Yeah.
So I think it took me like that same 1 year was the same time I was like adjusting to the culture shock.
I see.
I had to learn how to fit in because I felt like an outsider,
Yeah.
right? And coming halfway across the globe and moving is crazy. I came here when I was 19, turning 20. Yeah. And it was just like, I don't know, it was just like, I didn't know what was going on. It was so new. And the only sense of comfort I had was uh, music friends who I knew off of Instagram who happened to be around me
I see. Like physically in the same city.
physically in the same.
Yeah.
So meeting them,
Yeah.
they knew like I was an outsider.
Yeah.
So they made me feel welcome. They made me like, like, yo, relax. Like, some of them would be like, yo, let's go try it. Have you tried the food here? Have you done this? Have you done that? So it's just like they accepted me more on a friendly level than musical level. So that made it easier for me to develop a musical relationship with them. And eventually I realized that's how it is with everyone. Once you get a feeling of that and understand it, it's like you put me in with anyone. First thing I'll do, get to know them a little bit, just talk, be natural. And then eventually when you feel like, yeah, we're vibing, energy's good, then we put that energy translated into music or try.
Sure. Yeah.
And that's how it just goes.
No, for sure. So that 1 year that you didn't go to the sessions was more so about just culturally not, or just feeling like you were isolated, basically, kind of
Yeah.
filtering in, fitting into the culture
Exactly.
and finding your place. And then after that year, when you did eventually go to a session, was there any one moment you could point towards that was like, okay, that's the one thing I thought, or that's the one thing I saw that made me step out of that that zone of comfort, or that this is what, like, something that told me that I'm ready to do this, or maybe I'm not ready, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Like, do you point back to anything that specifically made you take that push to get into sessions in person?
Maybe nothing specific, but there were like sessions where I was doing like producer sessions with other people, and it's just you make the music and the ideas are flowing so well. And then when you play back what you just made, and everyone in the room is just like bopping their head. Just like, yeah, we just did that. Like, we just made that. Even if it's just a beat, it's so much different than me just like on my computer, like, hi hat,
Yeah.
versus being in a room like, yo, let me do the hats. Yo, blah, 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 blah. Yo, let's try this. Like, yo, can you pull up a synth? I have an idea. Blah, 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 boom.
Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah.
The energy is different.
Yeah.
Like, for me, from cooking up alone to cooking up with other people in a studio, it's a crazy difference.
Yeah.
The energy is just more present, right?
100%.
And like when I used to make beats, like I'll just be in my room, like, yeah, bob my head a little bit.
Yeah.
But in the studio, there's 4 people. There's 2 people making the beat, and there's 3 friends who are like playing a guitar, just like sitting in the back, and they're all synchronized, bopping their head. No better feeling than that.
That's very true. I could definitely point to a parallel experience where I was like, yeah, I definitely like what I make more when I'm by myself.
Yeah.
Because I get to just like there's nobody watching. It's just pure creativity on my own side.
Mm.
But even if maybe I might not like the result, there's something to be said about the energy that's being exchanged amongst multiple people.
Yeah.
And how it almost multiplies, right? Like say I have
Exactly.
one energy and you have one energy. When we create a beat together, it's like there's an equation that gives out like 5 energy total.
That's true.
I guess
That's
if
true.
you want to put it like that.
Absolutely true.
But if we're making it on our own, maybe like we're creating something and it's just one energy mind. It's like 1 point on AYN, and but us coming together, it multiplies both of our like.
Yeah.
Because there's so many different dynamics, you know.
I agree.
Especially with music, somebody might add something that makes you feel a certain type of way. They play the synth on a weird patch in a weird way, and you're like, "Whoa, what's that?"
Yeah.
You would have never had that feeling on your
That's
own,
the
you
other
know.
thing.
There's like so many different variables with more people involved, as long as it's a cohesive group of people, of course. But
Yeah.
having that aspect to it, whole new level of music making. And I mean, it can be hard at first, especially
Yeah.
coming from like being an online producer, to build up that courage to go in the studio. And
That's true.
you know, some people aren't the most social. Some people have a
Yeah.
lot of anxiety when it comes to like social interaction and stuff like that.
Yeah. I think the advantage was that I think just like you, I'd say I'm pretty social. Right? We're not necessarily introverted people.
Yes, I guess you could say this. Yes,
Right? For
Yeah.
us, it's easy to start a conversation with people
very true.
on a completely different tangent.
Was it always this way for you?
Kinda.
Kinda.
Yeah.
But you know, for me, it wasn't.
Really?
For me, like, I was literally thinking about every single word I'd said and every expression somebody would make. I'm like, why every time I say this story, nobody like, you know,
Reacts specifically.
or like, why is this person so effortless, right? They walk into a room and everybody's just like, they light up the room. And like, not that I want to walk in a room and do that, but like, I admire that. So why,
True.
you know?
True.
And it was never natural for me. But obviously now it's like second nature almost in a way because
Yeah.
I practice and I put myself in the position
True.
to get good at it.
True.
And I think to you as well, to a certain extent, you could say that definitely more charismatic to a certain extent because of the situations you've had to be to exhibit that trait in, right?
Yep, I'd say pretty much.
Yeah.
I think I kind of get it from my dad.
Mm-hmm.
That's like a very like smiley, like always laughing.
I see.
Like he's a strict person, but when he's like laughing and smiling, it's very like contagious.
Yeah.
And I think indirectly it's kind of like affected me, you know, like I don't know what it is. It's just like I was like, yeah, I should be the same way.
Yeah.
Not that I told myself that, but it's just I just became that way.
The natural influence of your parents, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for me, it was just like it's easy for me to talk to people. Obviously, the first time, first session, new people, meeting someone off of Instagram. My first ever session was with, do you know Bodhi?
I do, yes.
So Bodhi was my first session.
I see, as a producer session.
As a producer session.
Yeah.
It was with Bodhi and his boy Liam Clark. So that first session, I was afraid because I didn't know Bodhi too well on Instagram. So what Bodhi did was when I posted on my Instagram story that I'm in Toronto, he responded and he asked, "How long are you here for?" I'm like, "For the 4 years and maybe more after."
Wow.
He's like, "Oh wow."
What a response, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Yo, let's link up. Let's do a session." And I was like, "I've never done a producer session." He's like, "Yo, I have a studio, just come." So I came. The ride to the session, I was so scared. I was so scared. I went to this building and I had to go in the basement of this building. And I was just like, okay, where am I going? Is this the right place? I was just like, and then I opened the door underneath the staircase and he's just sitting there making beats. He's like, "Yo, man, welcome." And he's a very smiley guy, very open, friendly, talking nicely. And just seeing someone be that way, it's just like, after 5 minutes, I'm chilling.
Yeah.
I'm asking 300 questions. I'm asking everything about studio, equipment, music, the city, like everything. 5 minutes and I'm just unraveled like a Christmas present.
Yeah.
That's how it is.
Yeah. I think there's a value to being that type of person, to where
In a way.
you can make people feel comfortable enough to where their natural inhibitions of like, oh, what does he think about this? What, they just kind of relax, anxiety goes down.
Yeah, I
And
guess.
if they do have a lot of questions like you,
Yeah,
the Christmas present tree just unravels.
true.
And if they just want to sit down and play the synths, well, at least they're more confident in doing that,
That's true.
So I think there's definitely a value in
Yeah.
having that communicative like skill
Hmm.
in the studio. And I think you exhibit that a lot.
I try to.
Yeah.
I try to.
Is that something you've consciously worked on getting better at, like communication or analyzing a room and work, as they say, working the room, right? Being aware of everybody and how they're feeling and making sure that everything's flowing smoothly in a session per se.
I'd say not consciously, but yeah, in the back of my head, I'm always like, I want everything to go well.
I see. Yeah. So it's just naturally.
It's just like actively putting in tiny efforts, maybe here and there,
Yeah.
Like if there's 4 people in a room and 2 are sitting in the back and only 2 are cooking, I'll be like, yo, what's up? What are you guys saying? Or I'll just be like, yo, you guys, come on, do something.
No, for sure. Make sure the whole.
Make sure everyone feels like, like if it has to be like a team effort.
Yeah, the dynamic is
Dynamic is there.
positive. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you never want it to like grow stale dynamic wise, and then
Yeah.
like there's like a disconnect between
True.
and then groups and oh yeah, for sure.
And I've had like a couple experiences of sessions where the person in the chair is taking control of the entire thing.
Yeah.
And it's really like sad.
Yeah.
And I could never be that person. So for me, I'm like, I put an active effort to make sure,
Yeah.
like if there's people in the room, come on in,
Yeah.
give your say, try what you have to try.
No,
It's
for
one
sure.
thing if I'm in the chair and I don't like what you do, I'll probably be like, yo, we can do something different.
Yep.
But I want people to like be free and,
Yeah.
talk what they want to talk.
Yeah. Make the best environment for creating.
Exactly.
Because at the end of the day, it's all about what we create, having the best result. So anything you could do to make that a higher probability is like the thing to do for sure.
Yeah.
No, yeah, for sure. Outside of that, man, Zypitano. 21-year-old, you said. Soon to be 22. So you got a lot of life ahead of you, a lot of career ahead of you.
Apparently so.
And not apparently, yeah, apparently so. Actually, that the word would be that's very apparent that it is that way.
Yeah.
But you've accomplished so much already, right? 6 times platinum, and you're following the people you're connected with, the impact you have on people. Even me personally, the impact you have on me, the people I see, even the impact you have on people in this building, right? All of that already at the age of 21, soon to be 22. You have so much ahead of you, though. So what's next for you and your career? What are your next ambitions, your next goals?
Honestly, man, the accomplishments are cool. I think they just came.
Yeah.
Right? For me, it's like make music, have fun. I did that. Still am. I'm gonna keep making music for a bit, but eventually my goal is to like stop making music. Not stop making music, but I fear that there's gonna be a point where I'm gonna fall out of the love I have for music that I do now.
I see.
And it's like a valid. It's not. I don't see myself doing music for like for next 40 years.
I see. So you probably shift focus eventually.
And that's when I'd go back to like my initial childhood creative interest, which is cooking. Cooking, absolutely love it. There's pictures of me being like a year and a half inside the kitchen. Inside the kitchen shelves.
Yeah.
My mom keeps all her utensils. I'm inside there. Why? No idea. When I was in school, my dad was strict. He would be like focused, like sit in your room and just attention and just study, just like lock in. I couldn't. I'd get up and just run to the kitchen. Like I just go, my mom is cooking. I'll just be like, oh, what are you cooking? Oh, what are you doing? Like just like try to like, I had more interest in what she was doing than what I was trying to study.
I see.
For me, it's just the kitchen resonates so much with me. And when I moved here, I had to get away from my mom's cooking. And I liked cooking from before itself. So I had to like actually put cooking to the test. Cook by myself, cook for myself, cook for other people. And then there comes a point where you cook for other people and then they eat the food and they like it. They smile. They feel happy. And you can just see that energy shift, when you eat something, you're like, oh, that's so good.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Food and music, 2 things that bring people close.
For sure.
Top 2. There's nothing better than food and music that can bring anyone on the world together. I think that love that comes from feeding people and seeing satisfaction, unmatchable. Like I've seen kinda in a way what music can do. Next venture would definitely be going into music. I mean,
And food.
Oh, I've seen what the music can do. the
Yeah.
next venture is definitely like seeing how I can bring that same effect with food,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So that's something I definitely want to go into. Maybe a couple years down the line, when I have the time, or whatever, I might probably like go to culinary school, which is one of my first interests. Went to culinary school, but I didn't because I'm vegetarian and I was
see.
afraid to like eat meat.
I see.
So I was like, once I'm a little more older,
Yeah.
definitely I want to like venture into the cooking side of stuff.
Yeah. 100%. That's especially if you're saying that's something that interested you before you're like conscious of even yourself, right? 1.5 years old, right?
Yeah,
If it's an interest that young that's followed you all these years,
yeah,
then I think it's definitely something to pursue, and then like in any type of way, because that's you got to follow your passions and
I agree. I
yeah.
agree.
But I mean, I get the culinary school thing. It is kind of scary eating meat sometimes and stuff like
True.
that. But
I think more than eating the meat, what's scary for me is knowing that if I have to cook the meat, the one thing about cooking is if you don't know and if you cannot analyze what you're cooking and how it tastes,
yeah,
then you can't cook.
exactly. You don't have the feedback,
You don't have the
the natural, like you can't taste it. You can't the
exactly.
tenderness. You're not getting a feel for that. The
Exactly.
texture, the consistency, whatever it is. So
And you have to account for the fact that somebody who's never had a meat before
mm-hmm.
compared to somebody who's had meat like you. If we both
Mm-hmm.
cook the same dish,
Pause.
plus, yeah, you're gonna know what needs to be changed. I'm gonna be like, I don't like it because obviously in my head I'm trained to not eat it, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, I think that's
You're,
also a
yeah, you're not
barrier.
conditioned to it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's for sure. But that's a very interesting answer. I think a lot of people might answer what's next for them immediately, like in the next few months.
mm,
But I really like that answer. Like that's the next ambition, I guess. Because I did ask the question, what's the next ambition? What's the next goal?
true.
I love that. I love that. Following your passion,
That's what I want to do, man.
for sure.
What about you?
What about me? What's next for me?
Yeah.
Well, this is the second podcast and on the whole is history of Ain't Sounds. The first one I did was a year ago.
Hmm.
And I wasn't very satisfied with my interviewing skills.
Was it the one with Seb
Yes, Seb One Mind
in LA?
in LA. Yes,
Green shirt,
this guy has good memory. Green Mexico shirt. Yes,
jersey,
yeah, a green jersey. Yeah, and it had super nice
tucked in,
design on it. Was that?
tucked in.
I don't remember that, but it might have
Might
been.
be too far.
It might.
I feel like he had rolled sleeves for
You
some
have a
reason.
that's another thing I want to mention. You remembered the exact pose of a Young Thug image and a TK image. I didn't even know I remembered until you kind of played it out with your body, and I was like, wait, I can see the image in my mind, which means he saw it in his mind to even replicate it. Like your memory photographically is different. I think that's a lot of
I
creatives.
think it's selective memory.
It is selective
For certain things,
yeah,
great memory. For other things, I have no idea.
yeah. I mean, that's why we have reminder apps to remind us of the stuff we don't really care about.
True.
But the stuff that impact us, like the TK picture, the Young Thug picture, I guess. But yeah, for me, definitely is this podcasting. I love conversation
Mm.
and I love understanding creatives. That's two things that are really that interest me, that pique my interest.
Mm.
Is conversations, human nature in general, but then also creatives, how we think,
Yeah.
why we decide to do what we do, and the reason behind it all. So I really want to discover that through interviewing tons of creatives.
True.
And a year ago, I didn't have the skill to do that. Now I'm comfortable with my skills, although I think I could improve in a lot of different ways. But that's my next thing is I want this to be episode 2 out of 100 when you look back at it. Maybe Zypitano's like the most recurring guest, maybe we have like the 4th episode, like way down the line. And
that's
and we look
we should
back at
we
this
should do
one
it
or
like
something.
periodically,
Yeah, exactly.
And we're looking back on what we said last time, and we're like, oh man, we were some young fools back then.
Yeah, we were 22, thought we had it all figured out. We're talking to
look at
each
us
other
now.
with such conviction, but we didn't know anything.
True.
Or maybe we look back at it like, dang, we were smart, right? Or something. But I think that's also the beauty of it is looking back at it. But that is the next ambition.
Yeah.
It's kind of in the global circle of Ain Sounds, the music company, which is going to get posted on, is pushing that not only to be something to help producers with sounds, also giving them great value with like tutorials and podcast information.
True.
And then also building it as a platform. So that's my next main ambition. Then outside of that, as you said, over the years of playing, like I've done a lot of stuff. I started at programming, as I told you yesterday.
Yeah.
But I've done a lot of video editing. I'm starting to do a lot of filming.
I gotta stop you. Video editing, insane. I've seen you come a long way.
Thank you.
Because I do vividly remember watching your tutorials.
Yes.
I've stolen your tutorials, I won't lie.
Yeah, it's got to. I mean, hey.
That's the whole part of tutorial, right?
Yeah.
So seeing you go from there to the stuff you're dropping now, I'm like, Crazy.
Yeah.
And you know what's crazy? I can see you've, I don't know if you'd say you found it, but I'd say you're on the path of finding your visual identity,
Yes. 100%.
right? Because you know that quality that you need for your, and I know you're like very clear cut like a diamond. Like you need stuff to be this way, in the way
100%.
you narrate, in the way you just lay out the elements of a video. So inspiring, bro. Great stuff.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And that is true. I'm very intentional. That's one thing I've worked on, is being very
Yeah, I can
intentional
tell.
with
I
everything
can tell.
I'm doing. And yeah, it kind of plays into what I'm saying with the goals,
Hmm.
because also that's also been something I've naturally always had, is intentionality.
Hmm.
Naturally, amassed a lot of certain skills
Hmm.
that are kind of a little like everywhere. My next goal is to combine them all and put them all into the best use they can possibly be put in. And I'm starting to think that not only music wise, I want to create, but I also want to help things around the music that don't directly involve creating. Maybe it
Hmm.
might be like some type of managerial position or
True.
something along those lines, because I think that's a really good skill I have.
I agree.
But I guess we'll have to see.
Hmm.
And when we do one of the future episodes, like part 4 of
Yeah, true.
the interview on the Eight Sounds channel,
True.
maybe we'll be like, yeah, I was destined to be something different. But
That's true.
for me, music is number one. It has to. That's what one thing I realize is
Hmm.
it starts with the music, and then the other stuff is kind of around it.
Yeah.
And
But do you think that's a forever thing, or do you think for now music is number one?
I think that's the thing I need to remind myself of, which
Hmm.
is why music is number one, but
Hmm.
might not always be number one.
Yeah,
Something like filmmaking is, I'm so passionate about it.
I can tell.
Like the shots, the lighting, the angles, how you could tell the story
That's true.
through putting emphasis on something, right?
Yeah.
Like you'll notice in movies, like you'll see a character goes in focus and then out of focus, and it focuses on the other character.
These are like
But
very minute things that
yeah,
play a big role in how you kind of like understand a character, understand specific plot of the story.
yeah, it goes into what you were saying. You said food and music is the two things that can impact people in a certain way.
Yeah.
But regardless of the food and music, I think the impacting part, what I realize about myself is I want to make people feel something.
True.
Like that's my number one goal with whatever I do. So whether it be like, even when I used to make websites, I wanted to make like really cool websites, like to where people are like, oh wow, this says something.
Like it has to feel like an experience.
Yeah. And with the films and the movies I'm trying, like the short films I'm making,
Hmm.
I'm trying to make somebody feel something,
True.
like to the next level, to where they might not even realize what they're feeling,
Yeah.
because I might have just done automation on like a saturation of a clip.
True.
But that specific detail, as I was talking about something that matches that effect I use, made them feel like that's what's next for me, is delving deeper into making people feel things. Whatever it is that's my next goal. But I hope we made the audience feel at least somewhat educated, inspired. I know we did, actually.
Yeah.
Now that I'm saying about it, and we were just playing around with it, as you said.
That's
We
true.
just had a
Like when you said,
conversation.
it's literally just us conversing.
Yeah,
This is literally how every time we call or we talk goes like.
100%.
Right. And it's crazy. If you look at it, we've known each other since 2019. That's 5 years.
5 full years, bro.
5 years from being
been
online
insane.
friends to meeting each other in real life
Yeah,
to doing this
yeah,
and to whatever else is coming.
yeah.
Kudos to that, man.
Hey, bro. Wow. Yeah. Hey, man. It was an honor. It was a pleasure.
Likewise,
Thank you for
man.
the interview. Thank you for having me. Thank you for reciprocating my. Let's do it again. Yeah. No, thank you for all of this. Thank you for having me in your space.
Of
And
course. Likewise,
man,
man.
thank you for sharing with us today. And hey, man.
Thank you for your time, man.
Hey, you as well. I'm a little hungry, so we should probably go grab something to eat. But yeah, that's it, bro. That's it, bro.